of obvious.
Number one, we met a situation where foreign affairs was not being funded the way it should be. And then secondly, these sort of loopholes that were exploited by the likes of Binance. So it's a money problem. There's no point sending out ambassadors if you don't have the funds for them to even travel to go there. And then, of course, to run the missions effectively and efficaciously, you need funding. So that is it. But I assure you, we're working on it. Mr. President is very aware of it, and it will be done in due course.
The economy is growing. GDP is going up at 2.98% for the first quarter of this year. That is higher than population growth of 2.4%. It is higher than last year's 2.31%. So on balance, Mr. President's policies, his strategies, and his programs have turned the country in the right direction, upwards, growing, and importantly, there's great room for optimism, because in these figures that we are looking at, agriculture and the potential that agriculture has to help move the economy forward and reduce inflation is yet to come to the table.
The Saudi Arabian authorities have warned all pilgrims participating in this year's Hajj against using invalid Hajj visa to enter the country. In the warning issued by the Ministry of Hajj and Umrah, the Saudi Arabian Kingdom threatened to invoke severe penalties against any pilgrim or group found to have entered the country illegally. The warning was contained in a letter received by the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria through the Federal Ministry of Foreign Affairs from the Royal Embassy of Saudi Arabia, Abuja. The Ministry of Interior stipulated a penalty of deportation and a fine of 10,000 Syria Riyal on anyone caught performing Hajj without the authorized Hajj permit. To political matters now, the civil society situation room on matters of governance in Nigeria has commended Governor Siminalayi Fubara of Rivers State for his outstanding commitment to people-oriented reforms, policies and programs. Speaking at a press conference in Abuja on Tuesday, the convener of the group, Igwe Ude Umanta, said despite inheriting a plethora of challenges, the governor has displayed visionary leadership, innovative thinking, and a resolute of determination to transform the state into a hub of economic growth, social progress, and political stability. In its one-year assessment report, the group praised Governor Fubara for his dedication to improving the lives of Rivers State citizens, citing numerous achievements in critical areas such as infrastructure development, healthcare, education, and economic empowerment.
Governor Fubara has shown an unwavering commitment to addressing healthcare, education, agricultural gaps with promises to tackle challenges such as flooding. His accomplishments in the first year in office have been noteworthy. His administration has made significant strides in addressing key governance issues and has demonstrated a commitment to improving the state's overall well-being. Of a truth, Fubara is fighting his detractors with impactful projects and economic prosperity. Furthermore, the state's revenue generation and utilization have been rendered transparent, ensuring accountability and judicious management of public resources. Additionally, local government autonomy has been restored, empowering local authorities to address the specific needs and concerns of their respective communities, thereby fostering grassroots development and inclusivity.
In a similar manner, a coalition of civil society groups has commended the Governor of Niger State, Umar Bago, for his exemplary leadership and remarkable achievements in various sectors, particularly in agriculture and infrastructure development. The North Central Transformation Ambassadors at a press conference held in Abuja praised Governor Bago's administration for its commitment to transforming the state economy and improving the lives of citizens. In his address, the convener of the group, Dauda Yakubu, said the governor's innovative approach to governance has made Niger State a model state in the North Central region and brought about a new era of development and prosperity in the entire zone, highlighted by its transparency, accountability, and integrity.
Acknowledging the imperative need for transparency and accountability, Governor Bago's administration took a decisive step by enforcing the 2022 revenue law, thereby consolidating the state financial account into a single unified platform. This courageous move has effectively stemmed revenue leakages and ensure the optimal utilization of resources. Furthermore, the automation of salary and pension payments has been initiated, guaranteeing that citizens receive their rightful entitlement in a timely and efficient manner. Under Governor Bago's visionary leadership, Niger State has experienced a remarkable transformation marked by significant advancement in infrastructure, development, education, healthcare, and economic growth.
As the world celebrates 2024 International Menstrual Hygiene Day, a group HOJ Foundation has made a call to the government to subsidize sanitary pads for readily availability and affordability. This call was made on Tuesday by the Executive Director of the Foundation, Bismarck Orji, in Lagos. The 2024 edition of the program themed Pad Up Our Girls, which took place in Oshodi, Solo local government area, witnessed all the secondary schools in the local government present. The group advocated for better access to menstrual products, education, and sanitation facilities to ensure that women and girls can manage their periods safely and with dignity.
Education starts from the home, okay? So the parents, especially the mothers, I'm a father as well, but it's my wife that does that, and then what I can do is to back her up. So it's the job of the mothers with the help of the father, to ensure that the girls, they have that necessary education to realize that it's just a natural part of life once they approach puberty. Then if there's any gap, of course the church, the mosque, or other agents of socialization can come into and help with that.
At this time, there are many others who can't even actually afford pads at this present moment, and some of them actually go extra mile to use cloth and all that causes infection for them. So we're out to sensitize them on the proper way on menstrual, how to take care of themselves, what to use and how to use them.
Most people get stigmatized whenever they get to that particular period. So it feels good the way they shared it to us. I think with the little they've done, it would help most of us.
Still on health matters, experts have advocated for the use of technology in mental health, as this will increase accessibility as well as enhance diagnosis and monitoring. This call was made at the sensitization program organized by the Grey Up Therapeutic to commemorate 2024 Mental Health Awareness Month in Lagos. Speaking at the event, the consultant psychiatrist and chief executive officer Grey Up Therapeutic Center, Olushola Olowo-Okere, said mental health plays a core and important role in the overall wellness of people, depending also on various factors including family background, trauma, life experience, and relationship, amongst others. The director in charge of Special Project and Mental Health at the Lagos State Ministry of Health, Tolu Ajomale, said the state has put in place measures to address mental health-related issues across the state.
We have about 150 psychiatrists in Nigeria to over 200 million people. That is why people like us have come in, and that's why we have to start leveraging on technology to be able to wider access. And when I say technology, you can complete a few questions online and it can screen you for very common mental health problems. You can be able to talk to a therapist, a certified therapist online, and you can get help, because the guideline is that most of these mental health problems are manageable by therapy. So, there's a lot of misconceptions around it, that once you have a mental health problem, automatically you'll be having medication or injections. That is false. The first line is psychological therapy from a trained and certified person, and then you'll be able to get the help you so much need.
So a lot of people who end their lives by suicide do not report that the person that they know, their loved one, died by suicide. You just hear, oh, after a brief illness or something. But every day we have reports of people who are trying to end their lives by suicide that end up in hospitals, and those who successfully end their lives by suicide, and different measures have been taken. So you have those who were jumpers of those kinds of cases. And so it's very disturbing for us in government to begin to consider what kinds of measures need to be put in place. And some of the things that have been done is in creating the mental health helpline. It's a crisis helpline, so that people who are struggling can have access to someone they can speak to help manage whatever distress they are dealing with, and also to provide direction to where they can get help.
Still on Lagos, the government's Ministry of Finance says that the government of Babajide Sanwo-Olu since 2019 has paid about 2.60 billion naira benefit to deceased civil servants under the group life insurance policy. Also, the insurance department had paid 1.760 billion naira as claims. The figures were presented by the Commissioner for Finance, Abayomi Oluyomi, at a news press briefing in Alausa, Ikeja, in commemoration of the first year of the second anniversary of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu's administration. The Commissioner also disclosed that the Lagos State budget recorded 86% performance in 2023, while the year 2025 first quarter budget performance was 65%, with capital to recurrent expenditure at 49.51%.
The opportunity to resolve their complaints without physical attendance. We have even gone digital. So wherever you are, everywhere is local, just like they say all politics are local. Even in our tax and revenue consideration, it is local. Wherever you are in the whole world. We are here. You don't have to travel down to Lagos to resolve your issues. And we did a lot of that during the year. We cleared backlogs of property owners who had high land use charge areas using mediation effort to resolve long-standing issues. We also improved service delivery through the introduction of e-channels as means of initiating and resolving complaints. We have, you also know that Lagos State has a lot of insurance, a lot of properties, and we have a lot of staff as well. Our insurance department, shortly on assumption of administration of Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu in 2019, we commenced the payment of group life policy insurance premium for welfare of our staff, as well as non-life premium for all assets of the state government within Lagos State. Consequent to this, insurance death benefit paid from 2019 till date to beneficiaries of deceased civil servants amounted to 2.6 billion naira, specifically 2,672,305,372 naira 59 kobo. In addition to this, the sum of 1.7 billion also was paid as claims.
In case you missed any of our news bulletins or for more updates, you can catch us on Limex World TV and AVO TV, or log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at TV360 Nigeria, or download our mobile app on Google Play Store, Huawei App Gallery, and Apple Store. On Facebook, we are TV360 Online. And on business, President Bola Tinubu has received assurance from Reckitt Benckiser, the global fast-moving consumer goods company, that they will continue to grow their investments in Nigeria. Receiving a delegation from Reckitt Benckiser led by the Chief Executive Officer, Chris Leach, and Olufalomo, the chairman of Reckitt Benckiser Nigeria Limited, on Tuesday, the president lauded the company for its over 60 years of investment in Nigeria and commitment to the country's development. President Tinubu assured investors of good returns on their investment, supported by a buoyant market and a large population. In his remarks, Lichi described Nigeria as a very important country to the company. According to him, the company sees Nigeria as an important business destination for today as well as the future. Still on business, President Bola Tinubu has said that the 3 executive orders on oil and gas reforms, which is signed, will make Nigeria's petroleum sector globally competitive. The president made his affirmation during a meeting with a delegation from ExxonMobil upstream company led by its president, Liam Malone, on Tuesday. The 3 executive orders, which became effective from February 28, 2024, are the Oil and Gas Companies Order 2024, Presidential Directive on Local Content Compliance Requirements, and the Presidential Directive on Reduction of Petroleum Sector Contracting Costs and Timelines. The president, while praising ExxonMobil for being a valuable partner in Nigeria's development over the decade, said Nigeria was going through a lot of reforms and the nation was pushing for closure on divestment issues. And oil prices rose in Asian trading on Wednesday on expectations that major producers will maintain output costs at a meeting this Sunday and that fuel consumption should begin rising with the start of the peak summer demand season. Brent crude futures for July delivery added 18 cents to $84 a barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate futures for July climbed 28 cents to $80 a barrel. Both benchmarks gained more than 1% a day earlier. Traders and analysts expect that the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries and its allies, including Russia, known as OPEC+, will keep voluntary production cuts totaling about 2.2 million barrels per day in place. The anticipation of OPEC+ members extending their output costs has injected optimism into the market, and the move will be seen as a concerted effort to stabilize prices and rebalance the global oil market. On the foreign scene, South Africans will vote on Wednesday in the most competitive election since the end of apartheid, with opinion polls suggesting that the African National Congress will lose its parliamentary majority after 30 years in government. Then led by Nelson Mandela, the ANC swept to power in South Africa's first multiracial election in 1994 and won a majority national election held every 5 years since then, though its shares of voters gradually declined. Voter dissatisfaction over high rates of unemployment and crime, frequent bar blackout, and corruption in party rank lies behind the ANC's gradual fall from grace. More than 27 million South Africans are registered to vote at over 23,000 polling stations. Voters will elect provincial assemblies in each of the country's 9 provinces and a new national parliament, which will then choose the next president of the country. Still on the foreign scene, Thailand former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra, who returned home last year after 15 years in exile, will go on trial next month on charges of insulting the monarchy. Prayata Pektrakorn, a spokesperson for Thailand's Attorney General, said the 74-year-old Thaksin will be summoned to appear in court on June 18th to answer charges under Thailand's Lese Majesty law, one of the strictest in the world. He also faces charges of violating the Computer Crime Act. A prominent telecommunications tycoon was first elected Prime Minister in 2001, but removed 5 years later in a military coup amid mass protests from the urban middle class and disquiet over his policies among the pro-royalist and the pro-military elite. And on sport, less than 2 months after surrendering the top spot in the continental ranking, Quadri Aruna has reclaimed this place after leaping to 17th place in the latest ITTF rankings released on Tuesday by the World Table Tennis ruling body. Aruna recently reclaimed the ITTF Africa Cup in Rwanda earlier this month, rose by 2 steps up the ranking ladder to become the highest-rated African in the world. Egypt's Omar Assa, who toppled Aruna in the latest rankings, dropped to 22nd in the world after occupying the top spot in Africa in the last 2 months, following his triumph at the last African Games in Ghana. Still on sports, Napoli hitman Victor Osimhen has been ruled out of Nigeria's upcoming 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers against South Africa and Benin Republic. According to information on the Super Eagles official X platform, Osimhen will miss the game due to injury. Head coach Finidi George has already called up Rangers left-back Kenneth Igboke as his replacement. His invitation will increase the number of home-based players in the squad to 3. The Super Eagles are expected to open camp for 2 fixtures this weekend. The 3-time African champions will host South Africa at the Godswill Akpabio International Stadium in Uyo on Friday, June 7, 2024. Other Papa News will let you know news now at this time. Many thanks for joining us. I am Okpeyemi Owosheni. See you next time.
It's about the files your secretary presented to me regarding the company's salary. Yes, the figures don't seem to add up. I suspect there's some form of a
discrepancy.
Precisely, sir.
Keep the figure that way.
That's not doing, sir.
That's my money.
I'm sorry, sir. I can't do that, sir.
See how padded your books are. Are you telling me you cannot pad up figures?
Sir, padding is against best auditing practices, and it's a form of corruption.
It's true. Accountant.
You were testing. Thank you, sir.
That's it. Marcolo.
Yes, sir.
You are fired.
Fine.
Yeah.
Fine, sir. Rather than watch corruption grow under my watch. Padding is a form of corruption and not in my country, sir.
Corruption not in my country.
Stop corruption now.
Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
When you go into public office, you must be ready to answer to the people.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On TV360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what...
Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
Because when you go into public office, you must be ready to answer to the people.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On TV360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians are saying in this part of the world. A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
TV360, dissecting the issues.
Good day and welcome to your favorite sport program on TV360 Sport. My name is Mudashiri Shitu and today will be an interesting moment on the show. We'll take our mind back to what happened over the weekend while the whole world was waiting for what would be the outcome of the bout between Tyson Fury and the Ukrainian who has his country in his heart, talking about Alexander Usyk. And now we know what the outcome is, and it's been the discussion for the past few days about the outcome, about how Tyson Fury himself, Usyk, and the referee was also in mention of all this talk. I won't be doing this alone. I have the interim president of Nigerian Boxing Federation who is speaking on this. That's talking about Azani Omagege. It's good to have you on the show. So, tell us your expert opinion on the fight between Tyson Fury and Usyk.
My expert opinion on that is that definitely the results was definitely as predicted, and Usyk won that fight. So Tyson Fury should not come up and start shouting or claiming that because Usyk is from Ukraine, they just gave him the fight. It was beaten black and blue. Everybody saw that. I think it's time for me, in my opinion, for Tyson Fury to just go retire because his career is really dwindling right now. Usyk is the man of the moment, and I give it to him 100%. So Tyson Fury should not come with any excuses. He was very lucky that they even gave him a decision with the fight with Ngannou the last time. I don't see Tyson Fury, if they have a rematch, which that will be coming up shortly, you will see the full thing that Usyk will actually knock him down even before round 6 in that fight. In my opinion, I think it was a good decision, and Tyson Fury should not come up with any excuses.
Okay, now, did you not confirm Usyk as the undisputable heavyweight world champion? I think it's a long time after Lennox Lewis. Do you think it's well deserved? I mean, if there's going to be a rematch, do you think Tyson Fury will come back in that rematch to at least prove a point and make it a draw in the two bouts?
Trust me, if I was Tyson Fury, I would not even come out for that match because Usyk will beat him and knock him out, so there'll be no issues to be discussed at all. Obviously, they have a clause. Boxing is about money. Tyson Fury made a whole lot of money out of this fight, going to about 120 million. So it's all about the money, man, and that's what they have to follow. So at this stage in boxing, when it comes to championship belts and the heavyweights, it has to do with money, bro. So if Usyk wants to give him another rematch and agrees to the rematch clause, then they will do it again, and definitely Usyk will still beat him. Because I don't see how Tyson Fury will come back on the rematch and beat Usyk. I don't see that happening at all.
Now, there's so much talking about Usyk. He defeated our own Anthony Joshua for a rematch, and he did that against Fury too. What kind of person do you think Usyk is? Because it seems to be like it will take a long time for anybody to actually challenge him for a win in the bout. Or do you think it's somebody that can also be beatable? Talking about Usyk.
Yeah, definitely he's beatable. Don't judge him from his size, you know. He might be small, but you see what he did to Tyson Fury. Usyk, to me right now, is the undisputed champion. But I could assure you, in that weight category, you have Jan there, you have Joe Joyce, you have Efe Ajagba, you have Sanchez, like on the top 5. Trust me, any one of them here can take on Usyk. Don't look at it because he's the champ right now. It depends on the style that he fights, but anybody could beat him. And from the way I even saw Joshua last time fighting with Ngannou, Joshua right now is even right again to fight Usyk. And if they put the two of them right now, I'll put my money on Joshua.
So you're saying to the world right now that if there's going to be a fight between Usyk and Anthony Joshua, you put your money on Joshua?
Yeah, for now. Joshua is in serious form right now. He's in serious form. I'll put my money on him against Usyk.
Okay, now we know that the report says that in 2025, unconfirmed yet, that there will be a bout between whoever wins between Usyk and Anthony Joshua in the rematch that will be in October. And we know that by September, Anthony Joshua also is having a fight. What do you think is the state of Anthony Joshua right now? I mean, the fact that does that prove that Usyk is a worthy winner since, or does that think that Usyk can defeat Fury if they meet after that bout, or it can go both ways?
You see, like I told you, boxing is business, you understand? So they're trying to maximize their profit any which way they could. So you could imagine a rematch since Tyson Fury wasn't really knocked out and the fight went the distance. And don't forget, it was a split decision. So actually, one judge saw Fury winning that fight. So a rematch definitely will attract a lot of attention again, and they'll make more money. Joshua goes his own way to fight. So they come back at that time, and I am still sure, I could assure you, that Joshua will still end up meeting Usyk after that bout, after that fight in September. Because I know Usyk is still going to beat Tyson Fury then. And at that time, Usyk is going to be very, very marketable. So it's all about business at this point in time, bro. But I think I would like to see a Joshua and Usyk, and that would be a very good one, and to break records in terms of pay-per-view.
Okay, Saudi Arabia is the new Las Vegas. Let's put it that way. And there've been so much boxing events going there, millions of dollars involved. What do you think is I know it goes beyond boxing, but boxing has the home of boxing, world weight boxing of recent. What do you think this Saudi Arabia and the government, especially those in charge of boxing and sport, are doing that's right, that everybody's going beyond the money, that everybody's going to the Middle East?
I could assure you, don't use that word beyond the money, because everything has to do with money. But their sports programs are very nice. It's very conducive, attracting people to come there. But bro, it's follow the money. It's all about the money. They're not just doing that in boxing. They're also doing that in football. They've taken all the best players there, and all them Ronaldo. They're all there, and they're really expanding. And I like what they're doing for their sports development. You will notice boxing actually, or sports itself, is actually moving to the Middle East part itself. But they are following the money. The money is what is going. That's what China tried it too, but they didn't really have that grip on it. You notice one time, all our players, football especially, were all going to China then. But now Saudi Arabia is the new heaven for all of them, and they're very receptive, very friendly. So they're trying to develop their tourism, and I think they're doing a very good job at that. And we need to start doing that in Nigeria too. You remember I told you I have a big novice celebrity boxing stuff coming up pretty soon, and that's going to be in October. I'm going to do that. I'm doing about the same thing, so I'll discuss that with you later.
Okay. Now, let's come in a bit. I'm looking forward to the Olympics. We've not gotten to a murderous position in the Olympics when it comes to boxing. You are there to prove me right or wrong. But tell us how far we are doing in regards to preparation for boxers for the Olympics, and what we've done so far in the previous Olympics. Has any Nigerian won a medal in the Olympics for boxing? And tell us what the preparation is on ground as regards to preparing them for the Paris 2024 Olympics in the next few months.
Thank you very much. Well, I'm surprised you're asking me that too, but let me just let you know the figures about Nigeria. In the past Olympics, Nigeria in total has won, I think, about 24 or 27 medals in Olympic sports generally. Then out of that 25, 26, or 24, 14 of those medals have gone to athletics. Out of that 14, a few has gone to, I think, would I say, weightlifting, I think, comes up. Then guess what? Your number 3 is boxing.
Oh, okay.
Boxing has brought you 6 medals from the Olympics. In short, the first medal ever won in the Olympics from Nigeria was from boxing.
Okay.
And your football that you're putting trillions of naira inside has only brought you 2 medals.
Yes, that's Atlanta 96.
What does that tell you? So for this Olympics coming up right now in Paris, I'm happy to tell you that we have already qualified 3 boxers, and they qualified in Senegal. So as we speak, we have some other few, about 2-3 of them again, that has gone to Thailand for the last Olympic qualifiers. They are there right now, and I hope we could get 1 or 2 out of that again to join the 3 we have to make it 4. But so far, we have 3 boxers that have already qualified for the Olympics.
Okay, now we go on this quick break, and when we come back, we'll be running up with the last question so that we could really know what's going on in the world of Nigerian boxing. So we'll go on this quick break. We've been talking with Azani Omagege, who is the interim president of Nigerian Boxing Federation. He has given us his opinion and overview about the fight between Usyk and Fury. So when we come back, we'll be rounding up with a question that has to do with Nigerian boxing. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, it's 360 Sport, and we'll be talking about the review of the match, of the fight between Usyk and also the man they call Tyson Fury. So, talking to us on this has been the interim president of Nigerian Boxing Federation, Azani Omagege. Thank you for holding up with us, Azani. Now, we go straight to the last question on the program today, and that has to do with Nigerian boxing as a whole. And there's been so much going on, and I'm sure right now people would like to know the updates as regards to Nigerian Boxing Federation. You've told us about the preparation for the Olympics, that everybody's in the right mood for the Olympics. Now, we want to look a bit into the administrations. How has it been since we've been hearing issues about, I know you are the interim president, but we've been hearing issues about internal fights. What's the update on that?
A very good question. Thank you very much, my brother. Well, you know how it's been. It's been up and down. The administration, it's not been very, very okay. I hate to say this though, but well, I was the vice president of Nigerian boxing before. Then from there, I proceeded to the African Boxing Body, where I became a director and rose to the ranks of the interim president of the African Boxing Confederation.
Okay.
I think that did not really sit down well with some of my board members with Nigerian boxing. Well, everything was okay at one point until the time came for I told you I was interim, so to get the substantive president at that time in the ALBC African body, I wanted to run for the position, but the Nigerian Boxing Federation, without my knowledge, took the Nigerian Boxing Federation out of IBA, which is the body managing boxing itself worldwide, and took them to join another group called World Boxing Federation, which just came up. And that didn't sit down well with me because I wasn't consulted as a vice president. I will assume that if Nigeria as a whole wants to leave a federation that has been in for over 40 years, proper consultation has to be done. First, you call a board meeting, let the board members agree, you tell them why you want to leave the International Boxing Association. That was not done. The decision was taken directly by my president, my then president, General Minima, and the secretary only. They wrote the letter to the new body that they've joined them. So I queried them that why would you do such a thing without a board meeting? That's when they now called for a board meeting. But the decision had already been taken before the board meeting was called. Then secondly, even if you go to the board and the board agrees, okay, we're going to go, the next thing you do is to call for a congress. Nigeria is made up of 36 states. That's why the word Nigerian Boxing Federation. Definitely. The other 36 states are all associations under the federation. So you now reach out to the associations, call for a congress, and let them know that this is where you're heading. They never did that. Then at that time, I now said, well, with all these things going on right now, one has to act. My then president, President Minima, was in office for 12 years. And our constitution says that you cannot be more than 12 years in office. This one I'm talking to you right now is going on the 14th year or the 13th year. So his term has elapsed, but he refused to go. So I brought it open that, listen, it's time for you to leave. I'm the vice president, so I could take over. But apparently, other board members started fighting me. They didn't want me to do that. I said, but It's not just about me, it's about precedents. If you let this continue, it could affect other presidents coming later. The Constitution is written there black and white. So I now reported the issue to the international body, which is IBA, and IBA now suspended General Minima at that time as the president, where I now came in as the interim president of the Federation. But the good thing is this, after the Olympics, the board is going to be dissolved. There'll be a new board coming, so I think there'll be no rancor again. They've all seen that, well, fighting ourselves is not really the best thing to do. I care for the sports, I care for the boxers. It's not about me, it's about the boxers and how Nigeria will grow. But thank God, and I'm very happy that it didn't affect the boxers' performance. They've been doing what they are doing. They went to Senegal, qualified. I have to give credit to the technical team, the coaches, they are doing a great job. So they didn't allow that to interfere the administration itself. The administration is just strictly politics. So that's what I would say for now. But so far, so good. The infighting has calmed down a little bit. And I just can't wait for the board to be dissolved in September for a new board to come where sane heads and sane minds will come and move boxing forward.
Okay. Thank you for that in-depth analysis on the situation of the internet crisis. I think from our expert, we won't be calling it an internet crisis because there's something looking forward to a new board. So everything is almost at par and at peace, looking forward to the dissolution of the previous board while the new board comes and take over. Thank you very much, Azani Omagege, for your time. In a short while, we called you and you came in, and that's an exemplary leadership example for you. Thank you very much, Azani Agege, for always giving us your time.
I really appreciate that.
Thank you very much. We've been speaking to someone that have been talking about boxing all his life, talking about Azani Agege. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Azani Omagege. We've been speaking to Azani Omagege, who has been giving us in-depth analysis on the world of boxing, especially in Nigeria. And there's not a specific date yet for a new board to come in, but there's a dissolution coming forward, and which will also bring about a new board. Thank you very much for joining us. And if you're joining us from anywhere across the globe, don't forget, 360 Sport will give you all what you need to know in the world of sport. I'm Mudashiru Shitu. Bye for now.
Even though it is considered that we have a so-called disability, we really are able persons with different abilities.
For society and development to be included of persons with disabilities, we need to have equal access to education and to knowledge and information. Yet, out of millions of publications each year, fewer than 5% are made available in accessible formats for visually impaired persons. In developing countries, an even smaller percentage of publications are available in accessible formats. The Marrakesh Treaty, as it is called, will greatly expand the availability of artistic and literary works in accessible forms, such as Braille, large print text, and audiobooks. This can make a real difference in the lives of the world's more than 300 million visually impaired persons.
But at the end of the day, we must come together and make however and where we are in the world be a place of unification, because me being blind visually doesn't mean that I have to be blind spiritually. And someone being sighted doesn't mean that they should be blind of those things in the world that we need to fix. We have to have inclusion. Let us not become handicapped again, blind to the issues and the problems of those in need.
Hello and welcome to Lagos Voices. I'm Sydney Okafor. On today's program, we are looking at the ongoing demolition exercise in Lagos State. In actuality, the Lagos State government has unveiled plans for a massive crackdown on some illegal buildings across the state. The state government is determined to crack down on unlawful development activities and ensure strict adherence to the physical planning permit laws. To emphasize the importance of maintaining order and creating a safe and organized environment for all residents of Lagos. However, the story is different for 4 affected communities in Ebute Metta under the Lagos mainland local government area in the state. Residents in that community accuse the state government of carrying out unholy demolition projects in their communities, known fully well that the case has been in court since the administration of former Governor Babatunde Raji Fashola's tenure. Well, let's hear what they have to say.
At least 4 communities are the most affected by the demolition exercise. The government says the buildings in the community, mostly shanties, do not have official approval. But as buildings go down, many are rendered homeless. Those affected are mostly the elderly, women, and children.
This is what is happening with us. Now, all the baby, they're supposed to informate us to be clear what we are involved for informant at inform. Because all these things they are now happening with us. We didn't expect. Now they are now say government, they say Oba, they say Kiniko, Samori, they say yes, Samori. They say everything, but all these things before, here is a swamp. Yes, we feel out here to be the ground. Now look at today now, on Friday, they clear everything. Now we did no notice, no everything, there's no anything. Look, there's no anything to just appreciate. If they want, you want to just move somebody, it's supposed to have a compensation. make them recognize us and make them do better for all, both the tenants, both the landlord, both everybody. But we are suffer. Make them recognize us. See, the rain fall yesterday. We are inside the rain. Kilo day. It's all right.
Last week Friday, we were all outside, unaware and unannounced that they came to this place. They only told us that they gave us 10 minutes to evacuate everywhere, which we were not noticed. We don't know anything about it. And they came with force men them. A lot of people came. They said they are from the government. Some of our people came and they were asking, where are you people from? They said we should go to Alausa and ask. So those people will provide a better answer for us. And we don't have anybody, as we are now, ever since on Friday, since the people residing here, they are trying to pack their things. They don't have anywhere to go. We are still managing. All of a sudden, they set everywhere ablaze. They set everywhere on fire. Because when in our presence, they were wetting everybody everywhere with petrol and all that. Before you know, they set everywhere on fire. People that got harmed, that were injured in that process. And as we are saying, on that same day, rain fell. All our properties, all our children, all our pregnant women, they were all outside, sleeping outside. They don't have shelter, which we know that shelter is one of our human rights. Our number one priority is our housing. We must have house as a citizen. As a good Nigerian citizen, which we know our rights, must have house. This now they came here forcefully, unannounced, and evict us. They sent us out of our house, out of the place where we don't even have plan of moving out, where we don't have plan for moving out in next 2 months or next 3 months.
Community leaders in the area says the state government carried out the demolition in spite of a court stopping the action.
I said that we have been here past 30 years ago. And we said that we have a registered community development association here under the Ministry of Rural Development, Alausa, in which we participated in all their programs and activities. But sometime 2010-11, when there's a filler from Ministry of Environment that they are coming to demolish our property, we try to meet them. What's our offense? What happened? Since none of them they are not ready to speak or maybe entertain us, we sued the Lagos State government, Commissioner for Environment, Attorney General of Lagos State, and enforcement to Lagos State Judiciary, the High Court. We are at court for 2 years and 3 months, in which the statement was very clear that since they don't have, because they asked them, since they don't have any say or maybe they don't have anything to do with us, and they are not provide low-come houses for the teaming Lagosians, so they should let us be. And since then, even before the tenure of Fashola, he's not saying anything. It's like they drag him into the matter, and when they are not succeeded, it's just before he finishes his second time, he's not saying anything. And the court judgment is there for everybody to see that at least both parties should go and meet and see how we can. That is just the judgment. And now nobody's talk about the judgment. And this Friday, last Friday, we just see the Labaka, that is Labka. They start demolishing, set our property ablaze. The issue is now about what we need or what we our demand. We have stated it clearly on 2011 through Judiciary, Lagos State High Court, and the statement was clear that since you are not providing affordable houses for the people Lagosians, let them be. So I don't know our offense. I don't know what prompted this. We are just like disturbed. So nothing like maybe advise or maybe what we just tell our people is that they should just come a little. Let's see the outcome of the letter. Let's see the outcome of the press. Let's see what Nigeria will say. This is just pure slap on our face because we are poor. For the demand of the community, we are just asking the Lagos State government maybe to send their representatives to come and see for the eyes what is happening here. And our demand is, please, they should just compensate us to find another reasonable and comfortable place for us to stay. For now, that's it for now.
Many in the communities are now without shelter. A civil society organization wants the government to provide alternative shelter for them.
Demolition is going on in this community. even though the demolition will come in a community, it should have been a negotiation with the people in the community. It's not bad if the kings and the Lagos State have meeting with the people in the community. If they want to chase people out of community, they should not chase them as an animal. We have a government of the people, by the people. But the government we have these days are the government of the people that are using power on the people. In this community has been exist more than 25 years. When this community was a slum where nobody can enter it, the people that are working in the community that make the community to be a place that people can stay. Is it the time that people are working on it to make it a real community that people can build a block on? Is when government and the king are now realize that this place is good for them to demolish and to chase the people out. It's unfair. If we are going to abroad, we appreciate what they are doing abroad. Why we not appreciate our people, a poor people from the slum? The government did not recognize them. The king did not recognize them. They turn a community to the city. They do not go to the forest to go and build in the forest. We can remember the time of Jakonde and Gowan Estate. All those places was building in the forest, not in the city. Okay, sir. So what is your demand? My demand now is that the government should compensate the people of this community. If the community will not be giving back to them, they should compensate the people of this community, because this community now will be writing in a new names, and the people that they are living in this place now, their name and their children, they have no history to talk about this community anymore.
Some parts of the communities are waiting their turn to be demolished. The residents are appealing to the government to halt its action. They are also asking for compensation or relocation and the humanitarian supplies to help them cope with the current difficulties they are dealing with at the moment.
Corruption not in my country.
Now, yeah?
Yes, Oga.
Okay.
Where I go come find 300 naira change?
I better try look for change now. Don't they do business? Hey, Timmy. I did, bro. I be. I beg, give me 200 naira. Make I take sort out this guy. If let's say no get change.
Okay, give us.
I said 200.
Give her 100 naira.
Yeah.
Okay, I agree to pay 200.
How much you think they carry people from that place we carry on the chair?
Okay.
Why they touch me?
Now 100 naira. He agreed to pay.
Because that was what you said was the fair. Why you not pay you? Why you they extort your customer? You see this corruption, what would they hear for news? They see for people everywhere. Now be this so. This is corruption, not in our country.
Corruption not in my country.
Stop corruption now.
Welcome back. Well, you heard it from the horse's mouth. For now, we'll keep our fingers crossed and hope that thus the state governments will provide palliative measures for the affected people in that community. I could imagine how traumatized they might have become by now. The next report is on infrastructure development across the country, but our focus is on Lagos State, carried out by the Office of the Federal Ministry of Works, headed by Dave Umahi, and a two-time governor of Ebonyi State, as part of his commitment to challenge his fellow engineers on the issues of concrete technology, even in the midst of forex challenges and economic hardship. The Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, alongside members of the National Assembly Committee on Works, embarked on a tour on various inspection projects across the country. Although, while assuming office, the minister said under his administration, he will not tolerate people who want to reset the clock backward, but people who want to be part of history in line with the aspirations of President Tinubu's Renew Hope agenda and the expectations of Nigerians. Now sit back and relax. Let's see how history is being made.
With the Ministry of Works embarking on various projects across the country, the tour was designed to allow members of the National Assembly carry out the oversight functions on the Ministry of Works and ensure budget funds are well spent. The Minister of Works led the team to various sites, starting with the ambitious Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway project, which he says part of it will be completed in about 36 months.
The Senate Committee Chairman on Works and the Senate Committee Chairman House of Representatives and all the members of the Senate Committee on Works and the House of Reps are here to oversight legitimately what is going on at the coastal roads. And so we have taken them, to show them the starting point of the CROCP, which is the continuous reinforced concrete pavement. And I'm sure they're satisfied because so far there's no complaint. And we commend high-tech very highly. When people talk about high-tech, I look at it as people darkening counsel without knowledge because they don't really understand the word of high-tech. I've understudied them. I've seen the works they did. You go to Eko, Deep Sea Port, you see the concrete there. You go to Apapa Shodi, that defies all kinds of pavement solution. They solve the problem, with Dangote. So we are very, confident that this project, 700 kilometers, and the phases 2, it will be executed successfully under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Let me say that this was his dream as a governor of Lagos State. He even acquired the right of way, but could not get a contractor at that point to start it, because he's a man that is very committed to development. And so if he had gotten the right contractor, even if it were 30-40 kilometers, would have done it. And so when he located high-tech was not even courageous enough to undertake the coastal road, but he said it was possible. And so they started it, and he supervised it, and the Eko Atlantic is a huge success. And they also did the Apapa Oshodi, CROCP again. And so we can confidently say that high-tech is synonymous with, reinforced concrete road pavement.
Projects of such magnitude requires heavy funding. Here, the National Assembly's Committee on Works assured the Minister of continuous financial backings.
Submitting everything about this project to Mr. President, and he will be relating with the National Assembly in terms of funding. But the good thing about this is that this project has a self-cleansing mechanism in terms of return on investment. So it's going to pay for itself. So whatever funds that the National Assembly will look for and they give us, it will be properly utilized and it will pay for itself. This is renewed hope, road improvement technology. That's what makes the difference. When we construct roads under renewed hope of President Asiwaju Tinubu Ahmed, it's going to last for 100 years. He is the father of concrete technology in the country. He did it in VI, but it's a different kind of, concrete. That's the concrete, ties, but it's still the same. Concrete is all about compression, and so he started it, and he directed us to ensure that that happens. Let me say that a contractor called me and said, look, when the war was on, that they insisted on using asphalt. So the contractor called me and said, yes, we understand what you're saying, and we believe you. The roads, when constructed, will last 100 years. But after 8 years, and you've constructed all these roads under Asiwaju, what shall we be doing? I say we create more roads. So let's work together.
Yes. We are backing him all the way to ensure that this project is delivered on time.
Yes, sir.
Two fronts. One, in terms of appropriation. We're going to work with both the Senate President and the Speaker and the appropriations to make sure that funding is not what's going to do. We've seen it over and over again in this country, where you have great intentions when you want to begin a project, but along the line you run into some sort of trouble. But this is a project everyone is committed, both the executive and legislature, and it must be delivered. I said to him that even though we're together, doesn't mean our function to oversee the activities that we're going to live in. No. Every step of the way, both houses, Senate and Rep, will make sure that every funds released, they are accounting for it. I have no doubt, but we must do our job. It's our constitutional mandate. And with that, Nigerians will smile that, okay, first subsidy was removed, unification of FX, things are a bit more challenging. This is the kind of project, a legacy project that will put smiles on the face of Nigerians, and we're all committed to achieving it. Very good.
The tour continued as the committee moved to Eco Atlantic, where the wall protecting Victoria Island from harsh ocean waves was inspected.
As His Excellency has rightly said, we have done the very first 1.3 kilometers of sand filling within 10 days to 2 weeks. We've done it, thank God to everybody and all the assistance granted. We have done it properly, and now you can see what we have done so far. We have started the CRCP as a first trial section for you to assess and to see it. As far as our commitment to finish the 47 kilometers, we assure you that High-Tech is fully committed to do this 47 kilometers as per the directives from the federal government, Ministry of Works, to have it done within 36 months. It will be hopefully and willingly done in 36 months, if not before.
Fundamental responsibility of legislator is not only in the area of appropriation of funds for laudable project and program, it's also to carry out oversight function so that taxpayers' money is being judiciously utilized. We are here on the field to see by ourselves the constraint, the level of performance, the development, progress of various road projects embarked upon by federal government of Nigeria through the Ministry of Works. So far, so good. We have been impressed. What we noticed will be addressed, and we've channeled the little concern to the Minister of Works. But I can tell you that the committee is well pleased with the work so far, as far as this work projects we inspected today are concerned.
The delegation then moved to the Third Mainland Bridge to inspect the state of the repair so far. Impressed by what they saw, the lawmakers commended the Ministry of Works on a job well done, as they also asked when the road will be open to commuters.
We open it, but formally it will be commissioned by Mr. President when he's going to flag off the coastal road. So we combine it.
Are the street lights all done?
Now that's 7 days will be done.
Okay, not all installed.
But the most important thing is the lane marking. The moment the lane marking is done, we open the roads unofficially, and then when I was passing, the hold up was so much, so I told the controller to open the road in my name, and whatever wrongs will be inflicted on the road, we're going to correct it. So she did that.
The Senate and House of Representatives Joint Committee on Works appeared satisfied with the progress of the projects in Lagos State, and again assured the public of working hand in hand with the executive arm of government to provide durable facilities that will stand the test of time. Chidi Igwe, TV360 News, Lagos.
Wow, the magnitude of this project we just saw is indeed worth commending. However, the amazing thing about out of this entire project is that exactly 1 week after the thaw, the much anticipated rehabilitation of the Third Mainland Bridge has been completed and open to commuters and Lagos residents. Lagosians can't wait to start making use of the roads once again. Well, on this note, that's all we have on today's episode of Lagos Voices. I am Sydney Okafor. See you next time.
Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
When you go into public office, you must be ready to answer to the people.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On TV360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians say in this part of the world. A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, and use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
TV360, dissecting the issues.
Hello and welcome to another episode of 360 Health. I am Ogechiku Ukekwe. The Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Ali Pate, has pledged government readiness to support the establishment of more poisoning treatment centers in Nigeria. The minister made the pledge during the closing section of the 2-day workshop on integrating and strengthening emergency care for poisoned patients in West Africa in Abuja. The workshop was convened by Abdulrazak Habib of Barrow University, Kano State. The minister said that poison from animal could cause chronic kidney diseases if not treated properly, and reiterated the government's willingness to support treatment centers in Nigeria. We'll go on a short break, but when we return, we'll be joined by our guests and also to speak on breast cancer. Don't go away. Welcome back. Breast cancer is one of the most common diseases affecting women worldwide, characterized by uncontrolled growth of cells in breast tissues. It poses significant health challenges due to its prevalence, the complexity of the treatment, and its psychological impact on patients. According to the World Health Organization, about 2.3 million women were diagnosed with breast cancer in 2020, and it led to 685,000 of deaths. The incidence rate is higher in developed countries, likely due to lifestyle factors and better detection rates, while mortality rates are higher in less developed regions due to limited access to treatment. Well, joining me on the program to discuss further is Managing Director, Life Found Hospital, Dr. Rebecca Adeyeye. Thank you for joining me on the program, Doctor. So as an expert, can you widen our knowledge on what breast cancer is?
Breast cancer, I'm sure everyone knows what a breast is. I think that's where we should start from. So breast is an organ that is on the chest, the upper part of the chest. Another word for it is the mammary gland. And I would like to say at this point that both males and females have breasts. Because many times when we talk about breasts, people just feel that it's only the female that have the breasts, but no, males too have breasts. It's just that it's well developed in females compared to males. So now that we have solved what breast is, so we'll go to what is breast cancer. Yeah. So breast cancer is the growth of abnormal cells in the breast. Okay, so this is what I like to say. When a child is growing in the womb, the child grows from a cell and cells keep multiplying to make more cells, right? And I like to tell people that even for our hands to develop, it usually develops like a piece like this, but a part of the body tells the body that, okay, all the cells in this area, you should die off. So that makes it into the fingers. So there is a central control in the body that tells the body to grow, and there's also a central control that tells the body to stop growing. And that's how we are formed as human beings. So when the cells in the body, the normal cells, takes instruction to keep growing and does not listen to stop growing, you understand? So we have a tumor. So when that tumor, when we now have, and that's what makes the difference between, so when you say a tumor, both cancers and non-cancers are called tumors. Okay. Means growths. But when it's called cancer, when it has the ability to grow beyond its borders. I'm trying to explain so that a layman will understand what cancer is. So that when it comes to treatment, you understand why those treatments are the way they are. Yeah. Because in the real sense, it's actually the body itself that is, I would like to use the word like it's going crazy. Mm-hmm. Do you get it? So that's where we have, so if it happens in the breast, we call it breast cancer. If it happens in the stomach, it'll be stomach cancer. Do you get it? Okay. So depending on whichever part of the body, we have these cells that are growing in a bizarre way. That's what cancer is.
So what would you say are the common early symptoms of breast cancer, and when should one seek medical attention if they notice the symptoms?
The common early symptoms of breast cancer includes lump, or you may want to call it mass, or you want to call it growth or swelling in the breast. So those are the early symptoms. Though, so for some people, it could also present with some changes in the size of the breast. So I want to believe that I do tell people that everybody, you are your own first doctor. So you need attention to yourself. So yes, we are doctors qualified to help, but you, the owner of the body, for adults and for children, the caregivers, we need to pay attention to their bodies. Do you understand? So when you notice that something is going wrong, so for someone who has breast and you notice that all of a sudden, gradually just start noticing that the size of one breast is different from the other, and it wasn't so before, it may also be a pointer that something is wrong or something is happening. Also, you also want to look at the changes of the skin. So for some people, they've just discovered there is a kind of redness around an area of their breast, or deeply, oranges or lemon, you can see how the back is. So human skin is usually not like that. So if you notice any of these variations, it could just be a pointer that breast cancer or breast disease is happening in that breast. Another thing is also nipple discharge. If you notice any discharge, you're not breastfeeding, you're having nipple discharge. I know that there's another disease where someone can have breast milk when he's not breastfeeding. But if any other thing, any other discoloration that is not breast milk, even with that, you should also seek help from your doctors. But if you see any other discharge too, it's a pointer that something is wrong or is happening, and you need to seek attention promptly so that you can be evaluated. And please, when you have sought the attention and you have gotten the evaluation, please follow treatment promptly, because that's where the challenge is now. Yeah. People get to know that, okay, this is where the challenge is, but it takes them forever to accept treatments.
So what are the latest advancements in treatment options for breast cancer, and how do you compare it with the traditional method in terms of effectiveness and side effects?
Of course, there are a lot of advancements in breast cancer treatments. A lot is happening right now, and there are targeted therapies now that can be used in treating breast cancer. So before, I used to be a blanket treatment where everybody just gets maybe similar drugs, similar things. But now, in order to get a very, very excellent outcome, we need to first know what are the type of cancer that the person has. So the fact that 2 people or 3 people have breast cancer does not mean that they will get the same treatment. So the treatments are individualized. So when samples are taken to the lab to check what exactly is the composition of that particular cancer. So this will help to know which line of treatment. Number one, it help us to know the staging. So for breast cancer treatment, number one, it has to be staged. So it's the staging that will help us to know which direction to go. Then the second thing that is important in treatment of breast cancer is also to know the type of cancer that the person has, the type and the stage. So these 2 things are very important in the treatment of breast cancer. And then, like I said, we have targeted therapies like immunotherapy and precision medicine, which can be more effective with potentially fewer side effects compared to the traditional methods like chemotherapy. These new approaches often work by targeting the specific molecular features of the cancer cell. So, if you don't mind, I may expand on that a little more.
Yes, please.
Would you like me to do that? Okay.
Yes, please.
All right. So when we take the samples for tests, so there is a kind of test we also do for people who have breast cancer. We do immunohistochemistry, in which we want to know if this particular cancer has hormone receptors that will respond to hormone therapy. Hormone therapy like tamoxifen. Tamoxifen is an oral drug, though there are some other drugs that, we use in cancer care that is systemic, but this particular one is tamoxifen, hormonal therapy, or the ones that are positive to HER2 receptors. So these are some technical things that we check that helps us to know which particular drugs that the patient will need to take. So for those who are HER2 receptor, have these HER2 receptors, they will take immunotherapies like Herceptin. Herceptin is a more expensive chemotherapy, and the patients, at least there was a time that was as expensive as 350,000 naira for a vial, and the patient would take it every 3 weeks for like 18 courses, almost a year. So, so all these things call for, makes the burden of the care for breast cancer very heavy on people who have those types. So the type determines the care that the patients will get.
Okay, so what would you say are the most effective preventive measures individuals can take to reduce the risk of developing breast cancer?
The preventive measures that patients can take, it's some things that we've known about, like maintaining a healthy weight. It's also a good preventive measure. Regular physical activity. We are in an era where almost everyone, is either behind a screen, like a computer, or you're seated with your phone doing things, or even those who are not working, they are surfing social media and they are there for a long time. So we need to include physical activities into our routine, into our lives, So if you sit for a while, just stand up, do something, move around, do some exercise while you continue what you are doing. So activities, physical activity, then limiting alcohol consumption also can help. Then for those who are, we usually tell people avoid smoking. So it's a good lifestyle activity to avoid smoking. Then breastfeeding offers some level of protection, breastfeeding. And also, we also advise people to always discuss with their doctors to know what's appropriate medication they can take. You know, I'm saying this because for some people, they actually don't have the breast cancer yet, but they have family history, strong family history of breast cancer. Probably, you know, their mom had breast cancer, their sister had breast cancer, their auntie had breast cancer. It could be a strong indication that they also have genes in them that can also prevent.
It's arguably the most important slave trade era monument in Badagry. The point of no return is a huge draw for tourists visiting the coastal town. Most of the enslaved Africans or Nigerians who were traded during the transatlantic slave trade era were loaded onto ships from this port and taken to different parts of the world. For many tourists, the point of no return has some spiritual connection, and that is why it's a must-see for any tourist visiting Badagry. But the place is in total shambles and looks completely abandoned. Locals say the Lagos state government began rebuilding the monument some 8 years ago, but never completed it. And now it's been abandoned. The whole structure is rotting away and collapsing. Virtually all the smaller structures around the point of no return have collapsed. There is no inscription or write-up anywhere around telling the story of this important historic site. All this in a state that prides itself as a tourist destination.
It's a crying shame that this place is left like this. So imagine if tourists were to come here. There's just nothing, absolutely nothing to tell the story of this place. Nothing to show that this is the famous point of no return. It's just difficult to understand how we could abandon a monument as important as this in this manner.
It's quite very embarrassing looking at the way which the government, even though they've been advocating for tourism, on the need for us to invest in tourism, to encourage the citizens to participate and also encourage tourist activities. But the truth of the matter is that most of our tourist sites, they are not really strategically fine-tuned in a way to make it more attractive for tourists to come and spend time around. Well, I think this structure, it's more of like a white elephant project because it's it's a waste. Because you can see now it's dilapidated, and I don't think they are going to continue with the construction of this structure. And this structure, I believe before the commencement of this structure, they should have come up with their plans to see how it's going to benefit and enhance and boost tourism within this community. But maybe they did not do their groundwork very well, so they had to stop it in the long run. It really breaks my heart because this is millions of naira wasted that possibly could have been ventured into another aspect of the tourism. But this is just like millions wasted, and there's no way they can retrieve this lost funds. And people coming down here to catch fun, and they tend to feel discouraged and embarrassed by the sight of these, most especially foreign nationals coming there to come and relax, or maybe to come for their research purposes. They're going to see Nigeria as a country that we are not serious.
Yards away from the point of no return, another abandoned project by the Lagos state government. Locals say this was supposed to be a guest chalet started during the governorship of Babatunde Fashola, but long abandoned. Even this paved road leading to the point of no return has not been completed. Most part of it is yet to be paved. Even in its terrible state, tourists still flock to the point of no return, but they often leave disappointed.
While I was in secondary school then, we came for an excursion here. But the place we went to was 4-story building. And then we were not opportune to come here because they were like, okay, we can't come here since we were young then. But coming now, at least, that was 2014, and this is 2024. Let me say that's 10 years ago. So coming here now, and I was like, okay, land of no return, let me come and let me see how it looks like. But on getting to this place, it's very disappointing because there is no evidence, that there is nothing to show that, okay, this is an evidence to show that this is a land of no return. And even this building, I'm just guessing that maybe that is where the colonial master stays then, where they select the slaves and all those things. But I don't know, because there is no one to tell us the history, and it's very disappointing that they just let it go. Like, let me say, it's a waste. Anybody can come here and claim it as anything.
If this monument continues to rot away like it is at the moment, then it's only a matter of time before the point of no return completely disappears from this very sport. The morning of March 12, 2021, chaos at the Federal College of Forestry Mechanization in Mando area of Kaduna State, northwest Nigeria. The night before, armed gunmen, popularly known as bandits, had stormed the tertiary institution, abducting 39 students. After initially releasing the students in batches, the bandits eventually released all the students on May 5, 2021. They spent 55 days in captivity. It's been over 2 years now since that incident happened, but the school has not remained the same again. Some of the affected students did not return to the school. Many have now abandoned the hostel.
To some of us who have opportunity to interact with the bandits during the process of negotiation for the release of our children,
Friday, Sani's daughters were among the 39 abducted students back in 2021. He says even though one of them has come back to the school to complete her studies, she's yet to recover from the traumatic experience.
She came back one day and told me that, Dad, we got a news that spies came and they are those that spy for bandits to the school to come and spy the environment and see if there are area they can pass through to take students. So the first thing, I was in Abuja when she called me. I now quickly told her, please go back home and be coming from home to the school for the meantime. And out of fear, I started sorting for off-campus until something dawned on me that there is need for me to look for the advice of the management of the school. When I got there, they told me that there won't be any reason for me to fear, that I should allow her to return to the hostel. There are staffs living in the quarters there, and the hostel is just very close to staff quarters and all of that. So I came back telling her to return to the hostel. It was a battle. I said, Daddy, I know what I'm going through. If anybody just managed to knock my door, I jump from bed. So that I now told her, okay, what you do, this is the school, this is where your counselor is. Always meet your counselor for more counseling processes and other things. And at the end of the day, she's okay. And in few, maybe by next year, she'll be graduating. Now, the fear in educational institutions generally is that we don't know when this will stop, though it's minimal now. As at the 2021, it was high. It's minimal now, but nobody knows the next dimension that they may come. That is just the truth about it.
Just as the country was coming to terms with the brazen attack on the College of Forestry, another attack happened at Greenville University, a private university also in Kaduna State. Armed bandits attacked the school on the night of April 20th, 2021, abducting at least 20 students. 3 of the students would later be killed before the bandits freed others months later after collecting ransom payments. Today, the school is like a ghost village, completely deserted. The institution has now relocated to a temporary campus in the city. It's difficult to tell when academic activities will resume at the permanent site here.
So now, insecurity has forced children and parents in the first place not to even allow their children to go to schools that are not secured. Insecurity has also put fear in the minds of the children that even if they are allowed to go, they don't know what is going to happen. So sometimes they just look for some flimsy excuse and don't go. Then insecurity have successfully shut down schools in many villages. And you know, like the Chibok girls who were about to write exams and the evil people came. Now these ones, it is not even about exams. The school have been shut down. Some have relocated to nearby places, but only children of serious-minded parents. But the larger population is like, okay, you've helped us, not going to school. The only challenge they are facing now is that, okay, there is no school and there's no farm also. Because as schools are shut down due to insecurity, people cannot also go to farm due to insecurity. And then hunger is hitting them at home and is forcing them to go into so many things that you cannot even imagine.
Scared of coming under attacks as well, some other schools in remote locations in Kaduna, like this one known as Faith Academy, have shut down and moved their students, leaving behind massive edifices.
And one will wonder why the students become the target of banditry and kidnapping in Nigeria. And that also is now weakening the educational standards, is now discouraging people. A situation where you get admission, you are now afraid of going to the hostel. Rather, you have to look for house around that institution or around the institution. Then, by that, coming from the house to the school also is even a problem because you have to be looking left and right, not knowing who is the next person to you. These are issues, these are challenges that we are having. Entering vehicle to travel to Bandogri for maybe studies, or maybe going to Adamawa, going to Zamfara, so going to Sokoto is now becoming a problem in the nation. So the only thing that we see also parents doing is to look for an institution close to them, whereby they can just maybe, while going out in the morning, they will drop their child and return the same child. And you know that a child that is not within the school premises may lack concentration, and by that, you may not come out well as expected. So these are challenges that we are facing, or the education is facing in Nigeria now, that students no longer have confidence, unlike before, where you will send your child to a school far away from you, and you sleep with your 2 eyes closed that he or she is secured. It's no longer like that. So these are the challenges that we have in the educational sector now, and it's not helping us.
Bethel Baptist High School, also in Kaduna State, is now one big deserted community. On the night of July 5th, 2021, several gunmen invaded the school and kidnapped 121 students, taking them into the forest. It would take several months and millions of naira in ransom payment before the bandits would release the students. The last student in captivity only just got freed November 2nd, 2023. 2 years and 4 months after the mass abduction. But since that incident, the school has been abandoned. The management now uses a temporary location for the school.
You needed to see this place before now, okay, or maybe before the incident that happened on the 5th of July 2021. This place was so clean, so tidy, so a very serene environment for one to be. But now you can see how it has become so bushy that a lot of the places had to be converted to farms to reduce the bush. You've gone around, you've seen the football pitch, how it has been converted to a farmland. The all other courts have been converted to farmlands. All these are just to make sure that the place is maintained, to reduce the bush. It has affected education, particularly the school. A lot of money was spent that we cannot actually say the amount that was given to the bandits, how the staff also suffered, how everyone, in fact, most of the students, some of them didn't come back again. They went to schools, not that were not actually their first choice. Some, I cannot say whether some out will finally become dropouts or whatever. But let's add example, one of the students that has not yet come back. What do you think happened to his education? He does not continue with education. Now he can be classified under dropout. So that's part of the effects. Security has become so devastating in our nation that education is receiving its own quota of the effects of this insecurity.
We spend gathering money and getting support from spirited individuals, huge money. I can quote that we spend over 250 million naira to get those students of Baptist High School, Kujama, to come back. That is just one. That's just one. And you don't talk about the students of the school in, because for us in Kaduna State, the other school that suffered similar challenge was the school in Awong. And then you keep talking about other places that had to shut down schools completely due to this insecurity. Now, there was nothing we could do than first to encourage parents not to give up, not to allow the insecurity discourage them from sending their children to school. Because as I've earlier explained, it is a strategy of terrorists, it's a strategy of enemies of education to discourage and stop young children from acquiring education. And we must not give in. So some other communities that are having similar challenge, what we normally do is to encourage them to either move their children to a safer school or to a safer community, because we have nearby communities where schools are within the city, not outside where you are afraid your daughter may be taken away, and so on and so forth.
Nigeria has among the worst out-of-school children rate in the world. A 2022 UNESCO report puts the figure at approximately 20 million. The majority of them are in the north of the country. Attacks on schools are only worsening the situation.
The place of education in our community today is facing a very serious, I could say multifaceted challenges. You look at it from security, you look at it from the poverty around, you look at it from all the troubles and all this. So education seems to be like it is dying at a time that the world is growing through education, because science and technology is the order of the day. And if your child is not educated, you can imagine what he will be, or you can ask yourself, where will he be fit to serve in the future? And in Nigeria, especially in the northwest Nigeria, we are thinking that all is well, all is not well, because this large percentage of young children who may not have certificate in the next 5 years or 10 years, who will have no knowledge to even relate with the outside world in the next few years, then they will be easily and cheap for bandits, terrorists, or every extremist group to recruit them and say, oh, come, the society is not giving you what you want, come, let's fight them. But the agenda is not come, let's fight them. The agenda is to just destroy everything about the society.
A report by the United Nations Children Fund, UNICEF, indicates that over 11,000 schools were closed in 2020 due to a series of armed attacks in some parts of Nigeria. It says the country's northwest region accounted for 76% of the attacks, and in 2021 alone, no less than 25 schools were attacked. All of this, the report says, has led to increased school dropout.
So there is need for government to either vote special funds for security of educational institutions or provide security. Let there be proper security installations in all educational institutions. Just imagine bandits entering Nigeria Defense Academy. You can now see how sophisticated these people are. Not to talk of ordinary institutions that is maybe civilian base. So how will you contain that kind of people? So there is need for government to come in. So without that, there is fear, because we can never tell the next dimension that these people will come up with.
The bandit has successfully created fear in the minds of many parents. Government must get people to work along with her in educating, sensitizing, advocating, mobilizing people to say, no, let's not give up, let's not give up, let's not give up. Let's send our children to school. Because when we allow this thing to continue for another 5 years, then the out-of-school number will triple instead of reducing. But that's what the enemy of education wants, and he seems to be gaining ground. And then there's poverty in the land. So he's succeeding faster than we can even imagine. But we will not give up. We'll do our best to reduce the gap. But I can't lie to anybody that we can get it the way we want for now.
It will take a long time for things to return to normal in the schools that have suffered attacks, and perhaps much longer for those that have been abandoned for now.
One of the biggest challenge that terrorism have actually brought to the front burner in Nigeria is her dislike for education. The Boko Haram simply put that education is a sin or education is evil. Tells you a lot about the agenda of the terrorists and the way they want to ensure that they crumble education. In their own thinking, it is Western education that has brought about liberalization. It is Western education that has made children disobey their parents. It is Western education that has brought about the terrible way young people dress because they want to live in a free society. And you can go on and on and on and on and on and on. And so they begin to attack education. So when children are being kidnapped by bandits, apart from the idea of getting money as ransom, is also to help meet up the need of the bandit or the terrorists by ensuring that young children, especially young girls, are discouraged from education.
The government has since begun a 144.8 billion naira Safe School Initiative project in 18 states, covering at least 48 schools in each state this year. The project will cover a period of 3 years, but it remains to be seen what difference it will really make on the ground.
He who does not know and does not know that he does not know, don't bother wasting your time with him. But he who does not know and knows that he does not know, please teach him. And so for those of you that do not know, that's why I'm back again teaching you understanding Lagos. Because even when you think you know Lagos like the palm of your hands, if you leave your pocket carelessly, they will pick it. If you think you know everything about land ownership and building in Lagos, if you do anyhow, your money will enter voicemail. Because the recent fire incidents in Dosemure of Lagos State has once again brought to the fore the need to clear Lagos Island of building attachment to ensure not only ease of passage, but most importantly, since it's the heart of the city, to bring it in compliance with building codes, environmental protection regulation, and safety standards. We all know that it's a notorious fact that because of hunger and population increase, the city has been turned into a huge market scene. But must we destroy the aesthetics of the urban planning and environment and make a hell of the environment because we want to trade? How do you get approval for a simple story building and you put all kinds of attachment everywhere, including adding staircase in front and back, simply because people are looking for shops? Why do you need to block other road users from accessing a passage because you want to make money from someone who is looking for a small space? So you carve another small shanties like cupboard and attach to the house. We all want orderly society, but we are constantly destroying same. And when we are asked to correct, we throw ethnicity, tribe, religion, and tongue. Just take a look at how people are blocking access road with all kinds of shanties. Even banks are not excluded. I fear who no fear Lagosians. But I want to commend the Lagos State Building Control Agencies for putting its foot down and insisting on compliance with building codes, regulation, and standard. With this, they are assuring some of us that a more organized Lagos is possible. But I will just plead with them to extend this cleanup to plenty areas like, starting from my area, Gbagada, Oshodi, Ikorodu, Alimosho, Shogule, Bariga, Lekki area, even Victoria Island and Ikoyi, Shomoli, Ajangbadi, Alagbado, Iba, Trade Fair, Ebutemeda also. You can even add your own, anyone you remember. Lagos is just what we like, disorganization. Also, recently, the Lagos State government announced that 80% of the properties in Lekki have no approval. And yet, nobody has come out to dispute that obvious fact. So, you ask me, why would someone build a property in Lagos, modern day Lagos, without approval? The answer is not that far-fetched because the Lagos State government allows it. So now the state government has allowed it before, is now saying, we're giving you 90 days window, to come regularize. But I think that 90 days is short. We can extend it to 6 months. And like I said the last time, the Lagos State Building Control Agency and the Oga, Architect Bola Hoki, they know they hear Abegsa. So Abegsa know their dictionary. So please, don't even irritate them with Abegsa because it irritates them and annoys them. So I beg, if you hear the name of this area, simply, please, for those of you living abroad, please, and those of you outside Lagos, I don't understand. If you hear the name of this area, tell your landlord or developer to face the Ministry of Physical Planning or Ministry of Environment before Lascar Boys and Architect Okigo visit you. Say that one, they don't even come out in here, like I said, they tell you now. Orchid Road. Most properties in this area lack proper title and a lot have pending governor's consent. Yet, many don't build without approval and permit. And even some of them build on top of canal. So they will need drainage clearance from the Ministry of Environment. Ikota axis is almost the same thing with Orchid Road. Lekki Palm City, Badore, apart from incomplete documentation also, there are a lot of counterfeited certificate of occupancy and dubious governor's consent on properties in this area. Some of them are built on canal. Beware of Omonile in Monastery Road. It's attractive to a lot of investors now. This is a big red flag in land ownership in Lagos. And a lot of land in this area have questionable title and fraudulent gazette. Remember the last time I told you about flying coordinate. And also I hear that the land in this area belong to some kings who already have titles. So check very well who is selling to you. Some even have court cases. When buying land in Chevron Extension, be very careful, as there are a lot of fraudulent governor's consent and clone Ojomu deed of assignment in this area. While Lekki Extension has a lot of disputed certificate of occupancy and plenty court cases. So don't say I did not tell you. Ensure you scrutinize documents from a Ogombo community. Because even the community is currently reassessing documents due to fraudulent land sales. About Alpha Beach, Okomapo and Okuibeju, Sangotedo area behind Lagos Business School. Take note of fraudulent coordinates in these areas and fake gazettes from Omonile in these areas. Because it is alarming. Don't say nobody didn't warn you. Imagine the back and forth recently between Lagos State Minister of Environment and the Mende Villa Estate on whether and when notices of removal were served on building built and blocking the right-of-way of System 1 Odoyalaro Canal, which the government said is the most strategic setback in Lagos, established since 1974. And the resultant effect of removing those buildings around Mende, Ogudu, Ojota, and Evaron. For close to 50 years, some people were doing the wrong thing. But in a space of few months, everything changed. But be rest assured that you can no longer do the right things, wrong things indefinitely in Lagos. Because if you even manage doing for 50 days, you are lucky. So let us all do the right thing. Because as a lawyer, I would like me you comply instead of going to defend you or begin to plead. So I will therefore advocate also. There's need for a massive enlightenment campaign in Lagos on the importance of understanding building control, physical planning, and environmental protection awareness, not just for consultants or stakeholders in the physical planning sector, but for the everyday market people and those at the grassroots level in Lagos, to enable them understand the importance of not just complying, but the health benefit to all of us. There's also the need for a massive public education on land management and ownership in the state. The need for thorough scrutiny and the do's and don'ts on planning and approval should be known to all. While approved setback and layout should be strictly adhered to, at least this would give, would-be investors confidence in the process so they know what to do and what not to do. Lastly, appropriate sanctions like dismissals and prosecution should be meted out to state officials who aid consultants and developers to compromise the process. As also, the consultants who compromise the process should also be reported to their various associations and the processes pursued to ensure that their licenses are suspended or in some cases revoked. That way, land information will not only be at your fingertip, but more serious-minded individuals who enjoys compliance and well-structured and organized environment will be willing to invest heavily in the state. Also, as an addendum, if you see someone building illegally and you fail to report, or till the illegality start affecting you before you start writing an anonymous petition to the state government, you are also culpable. The government should also investigate and query you. But when you see something, immediately say something and don't wait until that something affects everything. That way, we are not only stakeholders, but we all become gatekeepers. See you next week.
Right in the middle of this forest in southwest Ogun State and inside the buildings below, a young generation of farmers in Nigeria is changing the face of farming and attracting young people to a venture many of them had not always liked. And 36-year-old Peter Okocha Jr., or PJ as he's fondly called, is leading the change. An economist by training before branching off into farming, PJ and his team are deploying a unique method of farming known as aeroponics to grow cash crops, starting out here in August of 2017.
What's taking place is that you're seeing agricultural technology. It's a disruptive form of technology. It's called aeroponics, whereby the plants are grown in a soilless medium. Essentially, there's no soil, and the roots of the plants, which are underneath these boxes, are being misted with nutrients and so forth. So everything is within a controlled environment, and it's fully automated as well.
Their focal crop is yam, a very popular edible starchy tuber mainly cultivated in Africa and exported across the world.
So the yam subsector of the overall agricultural sector, it's a very lucrative sector. But the problem is that the requisite inputs haven't been applied. And so what we're doing in this program is saying that, okay, we know that there's a sector that currently has a value, according to the Food and Agricultural Organization based in Rome, of about $13 billion US. But with the requisite inputs, the yam subsector will grow from $13 billion to about $19 billion. And this is Nigeria alone. So what we've said is that, okay, we know also that Nigeria accounts for 60% of the global production of yam, but yet we don't have inputs such as seed. And as you know, seeds, or the lab and the seed essentially is the genesis of the agricultural sector. So what we're doing is that in conjunction with IITA, we get clean seeds, essentially from IITA, from the lab, and then we come and we transplant to the system here.
The system is a greenhouse where the yam seeds are grown in this row of boxes using aeroponics.
more like growing yams in the air. Now just take a look at these leaves. Every leaf you see here is a potential tuber of yam. So to get a sense of how many tubers of yam we have here, you just have to do a count of all the leaves we have here. It's something very massive.
We have about 10 boxes, and in those boxes, all fully automated aeroponic systems, and it leads to high propagation of plants. And so we're actually massively propagating, and it will continue like this for a 3-year period of just continuous growth, non-stop. After the propagation, what you'll see is that it will essentially form a canopy. It will be very bush-like and so forth, and from there we'll start vine cutting. And from the vine cutting, we'll cut these, we'll put them into essentially polyethylene bags and with a nutrient solution, and they'll stay in there for about a month. And essentially what it is that because this is in a controlled environment, we're taking them out and saying, okay, we're preparing you for a month to get used to the external elements, and they'll be there for a month, and then we eventually take them to the field.
This is the field where they are brought and planted into the soil so the seeds could develop fully.
These right now currently have been here for about 3 weeks. And we're still planting now, and they'll be here for a total of about 3 months. And after about 3 months, we'll get seeds of about 250 to about 500 grams. And those are the seeds that we'll provide to farmers. And farmers can then go and plant directly, and this will give them the ware yam sizes of 1 kg, 2 kg and above.
One of the smallholder farmers who's been using the yam seeds from the aeroponics farm is Awofe Ademola. He's been into traditional yam farming all his adult life, and says the yam seeds from the aeroponics farm have seen his output more than double and safe from pests.
There's a lot of difference between the two methods because the new method doesn't get infected by pests and it doesn't change color like the traditional planted yams.
On this video of an hour of years of this Secretary of President in May 2003. Been since met President now offering with a fully end eco growth cap secure. The fact hasn't actually lived his all is the agenda, but the situation at the moment. One of the when he got off the day unification the refunds to sexual cash and quick impact as well. Petrol redouble import and receipts and from the fund. Also intensive the inflation with the policy is called losing the value that to the pounds. Then in the changes, the lift and product boost confidence. But the maybe to help the government billion backlogs taking the exchange top most global point around the top current world that 20 states with them also on the parting to substance of probable tax also to a resistant tax waiting document. More echo is the good out 1 year. That's not all to see. John the show scout who analysts also on the accurate cap Nigeria. Very much with you people two really one really economics of government. Each education rate of services it's too really able down. Seen for move city with galoption and we had though even more, the situation is still not too good. You talk about the exchange rate as we speak today. The naira is exchanging for over 1,300. That's if you're looking at the official market. But the unofficial market, we're looking at 1,500. But when this president came to power, the exchange rate was somewhere around 400 and something thousand naira. So you look at this two policies of the government. What will be your assessment of the policies, and how do you think they've really impacted this country?
Yeah, thanks, Deji, for the invite. So those two policies, let's start with the fuel subsidy removal. We had to take the subsidy off because Nigeria simply cannot afford the imports of petroleum paid in dollars. Nigeria simply cannot afford it. So the past administration of President Buhari knew we couldn't afford it, but we kept it on. We paid the subsidy by borrowing and by printing. But Tinubu has come and said, listen, we can't afford it. Let's take it off. So it's a good policy to take it off. I think where we have failed is to pass the palliative, that word again, that palliatives to the consumers to say, listen, we're going to increase your costs, but we're going to cushion that increase in costs. If we had done that properly, then I think the removal of subsidy will not have been as badly felt as it is now. In terms of policy, it's the right policy. I think the problem is the implementation of the, should we say, the cushions to the increase in the operating cost of the families.
Let's talk
and
about
business
these
in
cushions
Nigeria.
now. Like what exactly would you have expected to see? Because I know at some point the government talked about CNG buses. Those CNG vehicles, I think, are now beginning to come, even though they're coming very late. I know there were other initiatives. The government talked about direct cash transfer, which was at some point suspended over the probe we have in the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs. The Minister of the coordinating Minister of the Economy just announced that there will be a resumption to that. But beyond those, what other things would you have expected to see in terms of cushioning the effects of the removal of petrol subsidy?
I mean, wholesale reduction in the cost of living in Nigeria, specifically cost of food. The real cost of what we spend on Nigeria is food. 57% of our budget goes to food. They could have said, okay, we're going to remove VAT. We're going to suspend VAT for 3 months, or we're going to suspend PAE for 3 months, whatever it is. There should have been a direct stimulus to the Nigerian population and says in the next 3 to 6 months, we will stop federal government taxes so that we could all adjust to the increase in petrol prices. They didn't do anything. They took a lot of time before they even started to share the quote-unquote rise to the population. So the discontent set in, and then they are just been catching up back to the discontent of the people. So a wholesale stoppage of VAT, PAYE, asking the government not to, even school fees from federal government owned schools and things like that, paying direct cash payments, all that should have been done with the CNG buses, reduction of imports of food, so that cost will have fallen as the cost of PMS has gone up significantly.
And let's talk about the exchange rate now.
Yeah, exactly. So that again, that was something that had to be done because we don't have the reserves to maintain a peg. We maintain the peg, which means you need the reserve to maintain the peg. We've taken the peg off, hence the naira has then found its value. The problem is not the exchange rate per se, it's the lack of exports, net exports. Nigeria is not exporting, so the supply of dollars isn't coming in to cushion or to strengthen the naira. So we're focused on the end result, which is the exchange rate. We should focus more on the exports. Why are we not exporting? Crude oil is 89% of our exports. Non-crude oil exports are really, really minute in Nigeria. That's the problem. If we had exported or we had boosted our exports, then the fall in the naira will not have been felt. Also, remittances. Also, we've gone after crypto, gone after lots of people that are attacking the naira, but we haven't really brought in a lot of remittances, low-cost dollars back into Nigeria. That's another big problem that we're facing. So the exchange rate is just the result of the policies that we've taken. It's not the cause of the problem, but the result of those policies that we've taken not to boost dollar inflow to Nigeria.
Akin, let me come to you now. Look, the central bank is doing all it can to address the issue of inflation, but you know it's thrown several measures at the problem. We've seen the hike in the benchmark lending rate. Which is also a very big problem for especially manufacturers, and then it's impacted the cost of borrowing. Several things the central bank is doing, but on the fiscal side, we don't appear to be seeing much. And you look at the inflation, many of course have blamed it on the removal of petrol subsidy and of course this issue of exchange rate. Now you look at the way the government is addressing some of these problems now. Do you think the government could have done things probably differently that would probably address the situation and have a direct impact now on citizens, especially when it comes to the issue of inflation?
All right, thank you, David. It's my pleasure to be here on this one-year anniversary of our President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Talking about the inflation, yes, inflation is part of what the president actually inherited as he came into office. Before the administration came on board, inflation has been on the rise. In fact, it has been a world-over problem that the whole world was facing. But come to talk about it, when the president came in, he promised that he's going to bring down inflation.
in one of his addresses, at the inauguration, that he's going to bring down inflation. But what we are seeing 1 year after is that inflation is at its peak in our country due to not just the monetary policy, just like you rightly said. There's little that the monetary policies can actually do in this current situation, because in the fiscal part, we know that the subsidy removal, made the price of petrol to actually go up. And as a result of that, the cost of food, transportation of food and people from one place to another within the country also went up. You will also recall that the price of diesel also went up as high as close to 1,600, 1,700. The cost of diesel also affected the price of food, because the food inflation happens to be the highest, over 40% now as we speak. So if CBN continues to tighten the economy, that is just the academic part of it. Yes, when inflation is going up, the monetary policy, the monetary aspect will say, okay, let us tighten the economy. But on the fiscal part, government is not controlling the price of food. There's no price control. The sellers are just selling, at exorbitant prices, and there's no control on that. The cost of doing business is also going high. As government has removed subsidy, they are also trying to increase electricity tariff, which will also affect the cost of doing business. And as a result of that, the cost of food, the cost of running more businesses will also go up. As a result of this, we saw multinational companies leaving the country, that the cost of running their business is actually high. And also, they also tabled the issue of multiple taxation, which the president also promised that he was going to, do something about it. But 1 year after his administration is still running, we've not seen multiple taxation reducing. Rather, government is even talking about increasing VAT by 2027 to about 15%. The citizens are not finding it easy. The labor has been working on how to increase the minimum wage. 1 year after the president has come into office, they are still negotiating on what the minimum wage will be. This has affected a lot of things. As a matter of fact, it has made so many people to, go down into the poverty line. So many Nigerians are getting poorer as a result of not being able to meet up with the economic demands. So many things, prices have gone up: food, transportation, electricity, even the cost of house rents. Landlords are increasing house rents now. And these are the things that Labour are, is putting on the table for federal government for them to determine the minimum wage. So there's little that the CBN are doing their job. They are trying to reduce the amount of money in circulation. They are also trying to increase interest rates to discourage borrowing, to ensure that we don't have too much money in circulation. But the demand in the economy is demanding more money for you to meet up your needs. So if the price of food, the price of rent, the price of electricity, the cost of transportation has gone up, and CBN is tightening the economy, that money should be reduced in circulation, definitely it's going to be counterproductive. We are not going to achieve anything.
Oh, okay.
So
I'm going to come back to you. Let me go to Kalu now. Look, as a result of some of these reforms we have seen, we've seen a better accretion now to the country's, that's the federation account. States are now getting more money than they used to get, far more than they used to get in the past, far more. Local government areas do the same thing. So the question is, why? Why is it that this more money is not translating to better life for the people? We're not seeing the impact of this more money now on the lives of the people. As we speak, state governments continue to owe salaries. Local government areas continue to owe salaries, quite a number of them. Quite a number of them are still not even paying the 30,000 naira minimum wage. Of course, we're now talking about something far higher than that. So what exactly, why are we not seeing a direct translation with this increased funding now that is coming for the states?
Yeah, it's two reasons. Number one is that even with the increased funding, it's still not enough. Let me give you a data point. If you look at the latest budget implementation report that we have, right, 100% of the crude oil revenues goes to pay only salaries of pensions and allowances of only civil servants. So even if you didn't pay debt, you didn't pay anything, just paid salaries of only civil service workers, you've spent 100% of your crude oil and gas revenues on just salaries, allowances, and service-wide votes of civil servants alone. So the funds are still not enough. Remember, we're running a deficit budget. So we've got to increase our income by almost fivefold to begin to have an impact. That's the point. We are paying salaries, then we are borrowing to even pay debt and to even do capital expenditure. So it's one side, revenues are not enough. The other side is just the sheer waste and inefficiency of the government, where we have governors building airports that have no marginal productivity to the local man on the street. So we're not spending properly, we're not spending wisely, we're not joining our spending together to have a larger impact from the states to the federal to local governments. Local governments don't exist. The states spend about 52% of their fiscal revenues, and the federal does its own spending, but it's not coordinated. So we have, the government goes into the market to buy rice to distribute, raising the prices, killing consumption. There is no coordination amongst even the limited funds that we have to spend. And that's why you don't see that translating. We're doing grandiose projects, but not HDI, Human Development Index projects. No local government has got clean water 24/7 running through its taps in Nigeria. None. So we don't have clean water, we don't have cheap food and security, the three basics of life. Nigerians can't boast of having it in 2024. So you have to focus on that, fight consumption, get power back into the economy. Then you then see the economy taking shape. But right now, it's like trying to start a car with no wheels. That's what's going on.
What's your own take on that, Akin?
Yeah, talking about the government, state government, having more revenue from FAC, federal allocations, and this is not really impacting. Yes, because state government don't really have, people-driven policies, people-driven projects and programs. So many of the state government are looking at building roads. Yes, those roads are important, especially the rural roads. But how does this rural road affect the lives of the people? And how many of these state governors are actually building rural roads that will improve the agricultural life of their people? So government, in fact, the information we even have is that the state government, after getting the FAC allocations, they just go and, keep it somewhere, either bank it or, just keep it somewhere. And they are not using it for project. That's why you talk about state government still owing salaries. They cannot still meet up a salary despite increase in FAC allocation. What is going on? It means that there's no transparency at the subnational level as to how the subnational wants to affect the income of their citizens. Many of them took to sharing of palliative. They took to buying rice, buying gari, and they were sharing, which is not sustainable. They should actually look for more sustainable programs, more sustainable projects that will directly impact the lives of their citizens, so that will increase their level of income. And by doing that, the economy is going to be, jumpstart. And then people can now go into small businesses, SMEs, which will now be the engine room for, kicking the economy from where it is and making the GDP to actually grow. But none of those are actually done. And that's a kind of a setback for the economy.
All right, Kalu, look, food inflation today, just as Akin talked about, is just around 40%. And this is one area that people are badly affected. If there's one thing, a lot of people, because we conducted a survey and we're of course we'll be unveiling the outcome of that survey very shortly. But, from the survey, you clearly would see that the biggest problem that Nigerians have today would appear to be food. And you could see how much, the level of inflation when it comes to food at 40% is really, really high. The government has thrown several measures at the problem. The other time, it said it was releasing grains from the National Reserve and flooding the market and all of that. But, all of this have not yielded any much results, if you like, because the price of food items, whether we like it or not, is still very high. And, you know, it appears there's no respite. What do you think the government is not doing right, that it needs to look at to address this issue of food inflation? Of course, we know security is a big issue here, but then there must be something that you think the government is not doing right that it needs to begin to look at.
Yeah, the quick answer is supply. We've got to focus on supply of food, short, medium, long term. Immediate supply of food has got to come through imports. There is no other way you can increase the food production without importing. When I mean importing, we're already importing, but you've got to go to the customs and say, we're going to allow zero duty, zero VAT on everything food importing to Nigeria for the next 3 months. So that food comes in, but the price of that food is low. That fights inflation immediately, because inflation is about 51%, about 10% is contributing to inflation. 51% of our CPI is food. So once you can get cheap food, you are fighting inflation. So zero cost, zero VAT, zero import duties on food for the next 90 days to get food in. That's the immediate. Then you've got to do a military campaign to rid the food growing areas in Nigeria of bandits and terrorism and all the non-state actors, so that food production can kickstart as farmers go back to the fields. Inflation is a food story, supply of food story. Once you can fix that supply of food, then you can fix inflation. You can't do monetary policy because it's a supply issue. It's not a demand issue. It's a fall in supply. Now we have the issue of the devaluation of Naira, causing farmers in Nigeria, the northern Nigeria, to export food to Chad, to Niger, and to Togo, because it's more profitable to earn CFA than to earn Naira. So that's another problem right there that you have, that is growing, that we'll have to take a peek at. But overall, the issue of inflation in Nigeria is a food issue. If you can increase the supply of food, you can fight inflation in Nigeria.
Akin, do you think this is something the government should consider? Say for a very brief period, allow for the importation of food, especially for a government that says it is looking inwards and trying to stop all kinds of food imports?
All right, Deji. I think I've said it several times, even on your program, that what is actually causing the food inflation, number one, is the cost of distribution of food. Yes, are we saying that we don't have food in Nigeria, that we are now lacking food, our storage is now empty? No, we have the food. But the cost of supply of this food, how much is it now to transport rice from Kano to Lagos by road, because we don't have a rail or by air that can carry such food? So government need to look into the issue of this subsidy. Subsidy as it is not bad. Even the subsidy we were doing before was not totally bad, but the way the administration of this subsidy was done, corruption entered into it. They were reflecting, fictitious figures of consumption of petrol, which Nigerians never consumed. So that was what government need to look at. Subsidizing diesel is very important. Now, Dangote Refinery came up and said it's going to reduce the price of diesel to about 900. Recently, he said he's reducing it again to about, is it 800 or 700? But in spite of that, I've never gone to any filling station to see them selling diesel at 900 naira. As of yesterday, what I saw on the board of the petrol station is 1,250, which is still high. So the cost of transporting this food, even if we are importing, okay, it lands by ship in Lagos. How do we now transport that food from Lagos to Kano, to Sokoto, to Maiduguri? It's going to be by road, and it's going to be on diesel. So that will automatically shoot up the price of this food, apart from the cost of the forex that we're going to use to import it. But meanwhile, we even have food in Nigeria. I also said we have seen our food finding their ways out of the shores of the country. Why? Because the exchange rate is now so high. So people want to sell their rice in dollars. They want to sell it in CFA. They want to sell it in other currencies. So Nigerians are even exporting food without the government actually taking data. We saw evidences on the news where we saw trailer loads of food lined up, trying to go out of the country. So government need to ensure that diesel is actually subsidized. If not, they are talking about Port Harcourt refineries coming up. In fact, we are tired of hearing that story. We are just waiting to see
this refinery actually coming up. We've seen so many dates, shifting of dates. So if we can locally produce diesel cheaper, then that will also affect the price of food. It will make it to go down, you know. So the problem is the cost of supply, not even the supply itself, because Nigeria has food. Now, the season of famine have started. Niger state government have invested so much in tractors to ensure that food production is actually high. But what do we do to the cost of moving this food product from the bush in Niger state, in Bauchi state, in Gombe state, to other parts of the country? That is actually what government is to do.
We're running out of time now, but let me quickly ask you this, Kalu. I want to get your own take on this issue of the Dangote refinery. We understand that it will start selling petrol, that the production has started. So petrol now from the Dangote refinery may hit the market sometime next month. That's in sometime this month or maybe in a couple of weeks. Everyone is expectant. How significant will that be? Will it be a game changer for us? And secondly, too, of course, I would also want you to react to this issue of the exchange rate now used by the Nigerian customs in calculating duties now, because there are complaints over that is just too high, and that the use of the unofficial or parallel market rate just doesn't make sense at all, and that it's also contributing to the inflation that we're dealing with at the moment. So give me your take on those, but very briefly.
Yeah, Dangote game changer for exports. We're exporting the NAFTA, we're exporting those things from Dangote refinery. So that's going to be the game changer, because we're going to get dollar inflow in. In terms of local pricing of petrol, it's not going to go down much, because the price of petrol is a dollar price. So unless the exchange rate weakens or strengthens, your Naira purchase of PMS might be the same or by less by 20 Naira, but not major difference. That's just the it, because the PMS is crude oil and crude oil is dollars. So unless the dollar exchange rate changes, your payments price won't change. Again, to your last question, I've always wondered why the customs service cannot say use 500 to 1. That's a direct subsidy right there. Yeah, and that's what we talked about at the very, very beginning. So customs use even 100 Naira to $1. That's a direct subsidy to all Nigerians. That reduces the cost of inflation, reduces the cost of doing business in Nigeria, and can reflate the economy and drive consumption. So that's a subsidy that you can do directly, and Nigerians can benefit real quick.
Akin, your final word on that?
Oh, yes. This is something that all Nigerians have been expecting, to see that Nigeria no longer rely on importation of diesel or petroleum products. We are long overdue to begin to enjoy that. But what we see is that the dates continue to shift. Dangote refinery also has its own challenges. Dangote refinery cannot get crude from the soil of Nigeria. Dangote continues to import crude oil from the United States. So do you think that if it continues to buy from the foreign market, the price of that diesel will actually come down to what it ought to be? Nigeria needs to increase production of crude oil so that we can have some for local needs. We have so many refineries coming up, not only Dangote, not only Port Harcourt refineries, we also have some refineries in Edo State, some coming up in Sokoto State.
Very quickly, I know there's a policy now from one of the agencies, one of the petroleum agencies now, that oil companies operating in Nigeria must first satisfy the local market before exporting. So maybe that will make a difference for Dangote in terms of the procurement of crude.
I don't know if that will actually help, because we have seen policies. What we want is action. We want to see the data change. We want to see the data of how many barrels of crude oil are they supplying to local oil companies in Nigeria. We are tired of hearing news. Dangote is coming. Dangote is coming. Port Harcourt refinery is coming. This refinery is coming. We can't wait any longer. We want to see the data. How many barrels of crude are they producing per day and supplying to local producers? Yet, Nigeria is still struggling to meet up with sales of crude oil in the foreign market so that we can get more revenue. But it's unfortunate that this policy is coming and we are not yet seeing the impact.
Okay, very quickly now, give me your take on this issue of exchange rate for customs duty.
Yeah, the exchange rate for custom duties is actually the fair, rate. But the problem is the fluctuation. Fluctuation in these prices. In fact, before the end of today, you can see another rate again. CBN will fix another rate.
So don't you think we should have a fixed rate, for instance, and just as Carlos said, that this is the kind of subsidy Nigeria wants, the one that makes impacts on inflation and has a direct impact now on citizens? Why do we have to use the black market rate? What's wrong if, for instance, you peg it at 1,000 to $1?
If you are pegging it, it means you are going to be subsidizing the forex. It means that you are not floating it. So that is why we are no longer operating the regime of pegging the exchange rate. We are now operating the regime
but this is for the purpose. So this is for the purpose of duties, not for. It's essentially for the purpose of duties for importation.
Even for the purpose of duties, you are talking about subsidizing the exchange rate. That's what it means. And if you are doing that, it will not even favor us because remember, custom is a revenue generating agency. So the higher the exchange rate, the higher the revenue for Nigeria when it's converted to Naira. So the only thing we can say, pegging the dollar for us to access the dollar to go and import. But for custom duties, this is revenue now that is coming to Nigeria. So the higher the rate, you will hear that custom is over meeting their target.
Yeah.
So that
is true. Kalu, you just want to chip in a final word before I wrap up?
So that's a direct subsidy that we can do in Naira because they don't spend dollars, they get Naira. Direct subsidy, cost of foods go down. That's what we need right now.
All right, gentlemen, I want to thank you very much for coming on the program. Thanks a lot for your time and thanks a lot for your analysis. Thank you so very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I will take a short break now. We'll be right back to discuss other sectors of the Nigerian state and how well this administration has done. Stay with us. Don't go away.
We were able to neutralize more than 9,300 bandits and insurgents. About 7,000 arrested, while we rescued 4,641 victims of kidnapping. That is in just 1 year. We have also arrested 4,882 assorted weapons and 83,900 assorted ammunition just in 1 year. And among those that we neutralize are bandits that you hear, are bandits commanders that command hundreds of foot soldiers. The names like Ali Kawaji, you all know him, has been neutralized. Notorious Damina has been neutralized. Isiaku Bateri, neutralized. Bello Dangote, Osani Dangote, neutralized. And post a lot of others. We have neutralized no less than 20 commanders that command armies of insurgents and terrorists just in 1 year. And again, in our effort to improve the production of crude oil, which I'm sure the Minister of State Petroleum has explained the increase that we have in the production of crude oil. We were able to arrest 1,437 people, 363 neutralized, and we have freed in the Niger Delta 245 captives, those that are hostages. We destroyed 3,051 dog feet for illegal crude production. We destroyed 1,276 boats, 3,924 storage facilities, arrested and destroyed 408 vehicles, and 2,716 cooking ovens. So most of the illegal refineries are down now. And in addition, major vessels have been arrested. Vessels like Sweet Harbor Spirit, MT Senel, MB Tokito, and many others. And this has helped greatly to improve our crude oil production. And this is because of the synergy that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu enjoined us to work together to deliver and end insecurity. And in the period under review, we believe that security is a whole society issue. So it has to have a whole society approach. And that is translated in the Renewed Hope agenda, because all the deliverables are linked to enhancing security, taking care of people's welfare so that we reduce the incidences of insecurity, and that has been happening. So we have close collaboration with Ministry of Interior, Ministry of Humanitarian, other service agencies that provide for the welfare of the people. So that we target those areas that have suffered and see how we can help and support their livelihood. And we have been having meetings also all around the country to involve the community, to take ownership of the security, to give us information, to pass intelligence, to deprive the bandits and terrorists from taking over our country. And I'm happy to say we are getting good response from the people.
Abuja Master Rail. Let me answer this. So many people have said that they have commissioned it before. We are not talking about commissioning of building. I'm talking about commissioning the commercial operation. We are not commissioning building. No, the building is there. Was it in use? Why was it not in use? There was no access road to all the stations, no access road. So how will you use it? If I stay in Idu, how do I have access to the station when there's no road to the station? If I say Kukuba, how do I have access to it when there's no road? So all those non-availability of access roads impeded the operation of the metro line. You remember in September last year, when the president was declaring open the annual bar conference of the Nigerian Bar Association, the president said, the chief host, I want to ride on the metro line. I don't want land. I want to ride on the metro line. To the glory of God, on Monday, 27, Mr. President will ride on that metro line. So all the access roads have been done. In fact, the last administration awarded $128 million for 29 months for the CCECC to train our people for the operation of that metro line. $128 million US. When we came on board, I said, no. What are you training? That you take $128 million US. They said, but The Federal Executive Council has approved. I say yes, I agree. But now that I've discovered that there's something that is wrong here, I will not accept that. As I speak to you, we have reduced it to $75 million. For 128, saving us $53 million US. So when Mr. President rise on Monday, you take your own turn on Tuesday. It is for you. It's not for Mr. President. It's for you. So that now, you don't need, okay, if you are going to the stadium to watch match, and you stay in the rural areas, you don't need to bring your vehicle. All you need, enter a train from whichever station, whether in Idu or whether in Kukuwa, whichever where. You take the train down to the stadium. There is a train station there. You stop there, trek, and enter the stadium. Even the match finishes by 10 p.m. You come out from the stadium, enter the train station, and go back. There are car parks in every station. There are car parks. You carry a car, you go there, enter the train. That is the way business is supposed to be. It is renewed hope agenda. So most of you who are saying that they have commissioned it, please don't make a mistake. What was commissioned was rebuilding. And we are not commissioning building. What we are trying to do, we want to start commercial operation. So if you are going to the airport, from here to airport, it's 20 minutes. It takes you down to the airport. Seeing is believing, is it not? That is practical. Just go on Tuesday. Monday will be tough for you. You know, I will not tell you lies. So don't come on Monday. And we are going to allow for free ride for 2 months. 2 months. And you know, Mr. President, he can even say extend it to 6 months. Just to reduce the pains of our people. That is renewed hope agenda. When you say something, you do it. Is it not correct? That is what we call renewed hope agenda.
Now, we are also making conscious and gradual efforts towards embracing eco-friendly practices, which is actually what the world is about now. Eco-friendly practices and green technologies in line with ICAO's long-term global aspirational goal of net zero carbon emissions in the aviation sector. So they want us to apply, first of all, the type of fuel that does not burn so much, that is low carbon emission. They want us to use green airports to do green airports. And guess what? That is why we want to eliminate the use of diesel to run our airports gradually. We have more than 50 proposals on our table. The PS can say that, can testify. 50 for people who are coming to run our airports to start with their money on solar. They want to run our airports on solar. And that will save us so much every month. Lagos Airport alone, I am told, we do 1 billion naira monthly on electricity. And I said, why? That's something I'm still trying to crack. I said, why? The first thing I said they should do is to bypass the disco and go to the Genco, because we are what they call eligible users. We are eligible customers. So why do you pay a disco that will put profit on top when you are eligible customer? Cut them off, go to the Genco straight. We are doing that, and they are protesting up and down to go and meet Mr. President. I said go everywhere, except Mr. President tells me to pay the extra money, because by doing that we are saving 30%. We are saving 30%. So if we are supposed to pay 1 billion, we are going to pay 600 million in total in terms of consumption. Because you know, those airports, unlike the other ones that we shut down by 6 o'clock, those airports must run 24 hours. Lagos and Abuja, all the international airports must run 24 hours because of flights coming in internationally. But the other ones we shut down by 6 o'clock. So those are very expensive to run. So we want to run on solar. And we have so many proposals now to turn them into green, environment. We have more than 50, and they are bringing their money. They are not saying we don't want your money, just pay us. Part of that money you are using to pay for electricity every month, 1 billion. If you pay it small, every month you eliminate, you pay us, which is very economical. So we are transiting to that right now. There are other issues, little issues that infrastructural development, but this is our clear path forward, and this is where we are taking the aviation industry to. Thank you, and God bless you. Nigeria, it was Ethiopian Air trying to flag our flag. It was not Air Nigeria. That is the truth. There was not an Air Nigeria. It was only painted Air Nigeria. It was Ethiopian airline trying to fly our flag. If it is so, why not allow our local people to fly our flag? Why bring the foreigner to fly our flag? So nobody should deceive me that it was Air Nigeria. Air Nigeria must be indigenous, must be wholly Nigeria, or must be for the full benefits of Nigeria. Not that 60% of the profit was another country. How does that benefit us? How? It remains suspended. It remains so.
We were able to neutralize more than 9,300 bandits and insurgents. About 7,000 arrested, while we rescued 4,641 victims of kidnapping. That is in just 1 year. We have also arrested 4,882 assorted weapons and 83,900 assorted ammunition just in 1 year. And among those that we neutralize are bandits that you hear, are bandits commanders that command hundreds of foot soldiers. The names like Ali Kawaji, you all know him. It's been neutralized. Notorious Damina has been neutralized. Isiaku Bateri, neutralized. Bello Dangote, Osani Dangote, neutralized. And post a lot of others. We have neutralized no less than 20 commanders that command armies of insurgents and terrorists just in 1 year. And again, in our effort to improve the production of crude oil, which I'm sure the Minister of State Petroleum has explained the increase that we have in the production of crude oil. We were able to arrest 1,437 people, 363 neutralized, and we have freed in the Niger Delta 245 captives, those that are hostages. We destroyed 3,051 dog pit for illegal crude production. We destroyed 1,276 boats, 3,924 storage facilities, arrested and destroyed 408 vehicles, and 2,716 cooking ovens. So most of the illegal refineries are down now. And in addition, major vessels have been arrested. Vessels like Sweet Harbor Spirit, MT Senel, MB Tokito, and many others. And this has helped greatly to improve our crude oil production. And this is because of the synergy that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu enjoined us to work together to deliver and end insecurity. And in the period under review, we believe that security is a whole society issue. So it has to have a whole society approach. And that is translated in the Renewed Hope agenda, because all the deliverables are linked to enhancing security, taking care of people's welfare so that we reduce the incidences of insecurity, and that has been happening. So we have close collaboration with Ministry of Interior, Ministry of Humanitarian, other service agencies that provide for the welfare of the people. So that we target those areas that have suffered and see how we can help and support their livelihood. And we have been having meetings also all around the country to involve the community, to take ownership of the security, to give us information, to pass intelligence, to deprive the bandits and terrorists from taking over our country. And I'm happy to say we are getting good response from the people.
Abuja Master Rail. Let me answer this. So many people have said that they have commissioned it before. We are not talking about commissioning of building. I'm talking about commissioning the commercial operation. We are not commissioning building. No. The building is there. Was it in use? Why was it not in use? There was no access road to all the stations, no access road. So how will you use it? If I stay in Idu, how do I have access to the station when there's no road to the station? If I stay in Kukuba, how do I have access to it when there's no road? So all those non-availability of access roads impeded the operation of the metro line. You remember in September last year, when the president was declaring open the annual bar conference of the Nigerian Bar Association, the president said, the chief host, I want to ride on the metro line. I don't want land. I want to ride on the metro line. To the glory of God, on Monday, 27, Mr. President will ride on that metro line. So all the access roads have been done. In fact, the last administration awarded $128 million for 29 months for the CCECC to train our people for the operation of that metro line. $128 million. When we came on board, I said, no. What are you training? That you take $128 million. They said, but the Federal Executive Council has approved. I said, yes, I agree. But now that I've discovered that there's something that is wrong here, I will not accept that. As I speak to you, we have reduced it to $75 million. For 128, saving us $53 million. So when Mr. President rises on Monday, you take your own turn on Tuesday. It is for you. It's not for Mr. President. It's for you. So that now, you don't need, okay, if you are going to the stadium to watch match, and you stay in the rural areas, you don't need to bring your vehicle. All you need, enter a train from whichever station, whether in Idu or whether in Kukuba, whichever way. You take the train down to the stadium. There is a train station there. You stop there, trek, and enter the stadium. Even the match finishes by 10 p.m. You come out from the stadium enter the train station and go back. There are car parks in every station. There are car parks. You carry a car, you go there, enter the train. That is the way business is supposed to be. It is renewed hope agenda. So most of you who have said that they have commissioned it, please don't make a mistake. What was commissioned was the building. And we are not commissioning building. What we are trying to do, we want to start commercial operation. So if you are going to the airport, from here to airport, it's 20 minutes. It takes you down to the airport. Seeing is believing, is it not? That is practical. Just go on Tuesday. Monday will be tough for you. You know, I will not tell you lies. So don't come on Monday. And we are going to allow for free ride for 2 months. 2 months. And you know, Mr. President, he can even say extend it to 6 months. Just to reduce the pains of our people. That is renewed hope agenda. When you say something, you do it. Is it not correct? That is what we call renewed hope agenda.
Now, we are also making conscious and gradual efforts towards embracing eco-friendly practices, which is actually what the world is about now. Eco-friendly practices and green technologies in line with ICAO's long-term global aspirational goal of net zero carbon emissions in the aviation sector. So they want us to apply, first of all, the type of fuel that does not burn so much, that is low carbon emission. They want us to use green airports to do green airports. And guess what? That is why we want to eliminate the use of diesel to run our airports gradually. We have more than 50 proposals on our table. The PS can say that, can testify. 50 for people who are coming to run our airports to establish with their money on solar. They want to run our airports on solar. And that will save us so much every month. Lagos Airport alone, I am told, we do 1 billion naira monthly on electricity. And I said, why? That's something I'm still trying to crack. I said, why? The first thing I said they should do is to bypass the disco and go to the Genco, because we are what they call eligible users. We are eligible customers. So why do you pay a disco that will put profit on top when you are eligible customer? Cut them off, go to the Genco straight. We are doing that, and they are protesting up and down to go and meet Mr. President. I said go everywhere, except Mr. President tells me to pay the extra money, because by doing that we are saving 30%. We are saving 30%. So if we are supposed to pay 1 billion, we are going to pay 600 million in total in terms of consumption. Because you know, those airports, unlike the other ones that we shut down by 6 o'clock, those airports must run 24 hours. Lagos and Abuja. All the international airports must run 24 hours because of flights coming in internationally. But the other ones we shut down by 6 o'clock. So those are very expensive to run. So we want to run on solar. And we have so many proposals now to turn them into green, environment. We have more than 50, and they are bringing their money. They are not saying we don't want your money. Just pay us. Part of that money you are using to pay for electricity every month, 1 billion. If you pay it small every month, you eliminate, you pay us, which is very economical. So we are transiting to that right now. There are other issues, little issues at infrastructural development, but this is our clear path forward, and this is where we are taking the aviation industry to. Thank you, and God bless you. Nigeria, it was Ethiopian Air trying to flag our flag. It was not Air Nigeria. That is the truth. There was not an Air Nigeria. It was only painted Air Nigeria. It was Ethiopian airline trying to fly our flag. If it is so, why not allow our local people fly our flag? Why bring the foreigner to fly our flag? So nobody should dispute that it was Air Nigeria. Air Nigeria must be indigenous, must be wholly Nigeria, or must be for the full benefits of Nigeria. Not that 60% of the profit was in another country. How does that benefit us? How? It remains suspended. It remains so.
That we have got this 100% right. And no society is free of crime. No society. No society. Let's have that at the back of our mind. But are they different? Have we made any difference? Certainly yes. You can attest to the fact that it is no longer what it used to be. We won't promise you that it will be 100%, but this government is doing everything humanly possible to see that we reduce the level of insecurity. Part of the measures we have taken, you can imagine Abuja as a city. You see all the roads, you don't even know which is a taxi. You don't even know which one is the official and the commercial bus. And that's why we entered into this one chance. But now, we have now started to build 3 terminals for the FCT, 3 terminals, so that you know that if you want to board a bus, if you want to take a taxi, you go to social terminal, you know who is on, you know who's operating this bus. If on your own, you choose to be on the road and you see a vehicle, then that is your own risk. So building of these 3 terminals will reduce the level of kidnapping, one chance, as the case may be. I don't understand how a city cannot have terminals. I've never seen that anywhere in the world. But by the grace of God, in the next 8 months, this city will have 3 bus and taxi terminals, and you must operate from those terminals. It is not promise. It is something that is going to happen. When we came on board, we looked at the entire roads. Everywhere, no contractor is on site. What happened? We came down, we summoned the contractors. What are the problems? Our problems are that no funding. Why no funding? Well, the administration said there's no money. So I sat down with our team. And so what is important is not sitting down, awarding contract, yet no one is completed. Nobody does that. What you should do, say, look, for this period, how many projects are we going to take? And how many are we going to finish before we go and award new contracts? And that is why you can see today, yes, initially, we have been abused, that we have blocked all areas. All I say, look, don't worry, make the sacrifice. By the time you know it, the whole roads will be open, and which is going to be opened from May 27th to 9th or 6th of June. I said this, some of the contracts, some of these roads were awarded 2007, 2011, 2015, 2017, all abandoned. As I speak to you, no contractor, in fact, some of the contractors now come to lobby, give us job, we know that you will pay. We have been able to establish that confidence. We have been able to establish that confidence that contractors can now say, no, we want to go back to site. We know you will pay.
Mr. President is not deterred and has asked us that while we are trying to resolve the broader issue of Ajaokuta, we should also address the low-hanging fruits and resolve the things that can be done in the immediate term. So we have started to put some very, very concrete and imminent measures in place to achieve that. The first thing that we have done to achieve that is we have obtained presidential approval from Mr. President himself to raise private capital to restart the light section mill of the Ajaokuta steel plant. We are at the final stages of raising about 35 or over 35 billion naira from a local financial institution, which is around $25 million, to be able to restart the light section mill of the complex so that we can produce iron rods. That light section mill has a capacity to produce up to 400,000 metric tons of iron rods per annum. Now, I have been working very, very closely with the Minister of Works, Senator Umahi, so that we can provide iron rods to the ministry as part of the concrete road revolution of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. There are so many roads that are being constructed across the country, about 30,000 kilometers of roads across the 6 geopolitical zones. So part of what we are doing is that we understand that the Ministry of Works needs about 7 million metric tons of iron rods over that 4-year period to construct these 30,000 kilometers of roads. Ajaokuta can produce 400,000 tons, which is a drop in the ocean of what is required. But because it's an important asset, the President is keen on us getting Ajaokuta to work and being able to produce some of these iron rods that is required by the federal government. So these 35 billion naira that we are raising will help us resuscitate the light steel mill and help us to produce up to 50,000 metric tons of iron rods. Like I said, we're in the final stages of raising the financing. The local financial institution has given us a final offer, which I have done a cover letter and forwarded the relevant documents to the Minister of Finance to be able to take the financing on behalf of the federal government using promissory notes that will be discounted and provided for Ajaokuta to be able to get back on track in terms of the iron rod production. So that's the first thing. The second thing that we've done in that regard is we have had advanced discussions with the Ministry of Defense. So I have engaged on several occasions with the Minister